Doupo, outstanding intelligence. Starting by joining the chat group. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326, A Terrifying Palm. The Ancient Tan Huang Formation. Xiao Fan smiled faintly and said, "Let me do it. The rest of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan will be left to you. Besides, don't you have a deep grudge against the Soul Palace? When the Soul Palace is destroyed, I will let you show your skills." Not only the Soul Palace, but also the Soul Clan behind the Soul Palace. Arrogant. Huang Tian was furious when he heard what Xiao Yan and Xiao Fan said. These two people did not take him, the patriarch of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan and a 5-star Shang late-stage strongman, seriously at all. Today, I will use your lives to tell everyone that anyone who dares to offend my clan, no matter who it is, will be killed without mercy. As Huang Tian's last word fell, brilliant golden light suddenly swept from behind him, and a pair of huge golden wings that were hundreds of feet long extended from behind Huang Tian. From a distance, the golden light was shrouded, filled with majesty and dignity. Xiao Fan said disdainfully, "Kill without mercy? I'm afraid you don't have that ability." Looking for death, Huang Tian's eyes turned cold, and a cold voice came out of his mouth. As the voice fell, the huge golden wings behind Huang Tian shook slightly. His figure tore through space at an extremely terrifying speed, and appeared in front of Xiao Fan almost instantly. His big hand suddenly blasted out, and golden light surged, turning into a huge claw with dazzling golden light, and fiercely grabbed Xiao Fan. As this claw swung down, the space around Xiao Fan suddenly exploded. "Thunder Emperor Palm!" Xiao Fan shouted, and as his palm swung, a huge energy handprint of hundreds of feet flew out of his hand. On the handprint, purple thunder kept jumping and surging, appearing to be very powerful. Bang! A palm and a claw collided in the sky, and the violent energy wind swept away crazily. Even the clouds in the sky were torn apart. Puff! The next moment, Huang Tian spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his body flew back uncontrollably. His body flew back at an extremely fast speed, and it actually tore through the space. The broken body fell heavily into the interior of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. Boom! When Huang Tian's body fell, the terrifying aftermath directly shook the ground inside the Sky Demon Phoenix clan into a bottomless abyss that was hundreds of feet wide. Xiao Fan stood still, without even lifting the corner of his clothes. Patriarch, some strong men of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan had sensed that a strong enemy was coming and were ready to come out to check. As soon as they came out, they saw their patriarch being knocked out by Xiao Fan, and a terrifying abyss was blasted out directly in the clan land. They couldn't help but exclaimed, and their hearts were both shocked and terrified. "Brother Xiao Fan, the patriarch of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan couldn't be killed by you with just one palm, right? This is too fragile." Zhi Yan couldn't help but pout when she saw this scene. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. Then Huang Tian should still have a breath, but he is not far from death. At this time, Xiao Yan licked his lips, looked at the people inside the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, and said to Xiao Fan, "Third brother, you just said that you don't have to fight with me for the remaining people." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Okay, I'll leave it to you." Xiao Yan smiled when he heard it, tapped his toes lightly, and his figure suddenly flew out, and in a flash he was in the heart of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. Zhi Yan clenched her fists and said excitedly, "I'll go too." Han Nu and Han Zu also attacked the Sky Demon Phoenix clan after obtaining Xiao Fan's consent. As for King Lin, she stood silently beside Xiao Fan and had no intention of taking action. King Lin didn't like fighting. Instead of fighting with the people of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, it would be better to spend more time with her young master Xiao Fan. Anyway, with the strength of Xiao Yan and his men, it was enough to deal with the guys of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. Formed the Sky Phoenix Ancient Formation. Seeing Xiao Yan and Yao Chen coming fiercely, the people of the Sky Phoenix clan were full of vigilance and shouted fiercely. As the voice fell, many strong men of the Sky Phoenix clan quickly separated and stood in specific positions, frantically urging the fighting spirit in their bodies. Cry! In an instant, a sharp cry sounded above the Sky Phoenix clan. A huge sky phoenix with a length of thousands of feet, vibrating its huge wings, appeared in a way that covered the sky and the sun. Cry! Another fierce cry sounded, and the huge sky phoenix phantom waved its huge wings that seemed to be condensed by golden light to penetrate the space, and instantly swooped down towards Xiao Yan, Yao Chen, Zhu Yan and others. The terrifying wings turned into a huge golden sword, slashing down at Xiao Yan and others. Great heavenly creation palm. Xiao Yan saw the huge phoenix shadow attacking, and his expression became serious. He shouted, gathered his fighting spirit in his palm, and swung out a giant palm that covered the sky and the sun. When the terrifying giant palm fell, the space almost collapsed in an instant. A black light circle that was so dark that it made people feel chilling quickly spread from Xiao Yan's palm and rushed towards the golden wings of the phoenix shadow. Boom! The phoenix wings formed by the formation of the Tianyao phoenix clan collided with the terrifying black light circle brought by the great heavenly creation palm, making a terrifying sound that shook the world. The black light circle was slightly hindered by the golden wings, and then continued to expand forward. The terrifying black light circle almost trapped the golden wings in it in an instant. Bang! With a loud bang, the phoenix shadow exploded on the spot, and the people of the Tianyao phoenix clan screamed and fell out. It was Xiao Yan's palm strike that directly broke the sky phoenix ancient formation. The same fighting skill, but the power displayed in Xiao Yan's hands was many times stronger than the power displayed by Han Yu. It's just a show. It scared me. Zhu Yan saw that the sky phoenix ancient formation was broken by Xiao Yan's palm strike, frowned and complained, and then rushed towards the people of the sky demon phoenix clan without any scruples. Zhu Yan clenched her fists, and almost every punch could take the life of a person of the sky demon phoenix clan. Han Yu and Han Zhu were also merciless, and beat up the injured people of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. Xiao Yan was even more unscrupulous among the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. With one move, he could even destroy dozens of Sky Demon Phoenix clan's experts at the same time. Suddenly, the whole Sky Demon Phoenix clan was filled with desperate wails. After today, there will be no more Sky Demon Phoenix clan on Qi continent. Xiao Fan looked at Xiao Yan, Yao Chen and others who were killing people in the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, shook his head slightly, and whispered, "Boom." At this moment, dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky, and the sound of low thunder came from the dark clouds and resounded over the earth. Cry! Immediately, a fierce and violent cry sounded in everyone's ears. A burst of terrifying golden light suddenly burst out from the abyss. Chapter 327, Extermination of the Clan. Yao Chen's worries. As the golden light burst out, a huge demon phoenix, thousands of feet long, appeared under the sky, blocking out the sun and the sky. Patriarch. When the people of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan were being slaughtered, they saw the huge monster appear and shouted loudly as if they had grabbed a life-saving straw. There is no doubt that this huge demon phoenix is the patriarch of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, Huangtian. Previously, Huangtian was knocked into the bottomless abyss by Xiao Fan and almost died on the spot. When he was dying, Huangtian used a 9th grade Xuandan passed down by the clan. Under the power of the 9th grade Xuandan, he barely recovered 50%. Originally, Huangtian wanted to hide at the bottom of the abyss temporarily, waiting for Xiao Fan and others to leave, and then he would come out again. However, when Huangtian saw the corpses of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan members falling in front of him, Huangtian couldn't help but rush out, because if this continued, the Sky Demon Phoenix clan would be directly exterminated, and Huangtian really couldn't accept this cruel ending. In order to improve his combat effectiveness, Huangtian directly used the strongest fighting skill of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, the Demon Phoenix statue, and transformed into a huge demon phoenix of thousands of feet. After rushing out of the ground, Huangtian's eyes were bloodshot and he was furious when he saw the Sky Demon Phoenix clan members who were constantly being hunted, escape in all directions and wait for the right time. The huge demon phoenix transformed by Huangtian flapped its wings gently, and a strong wind blew between heaven and earth. The order to escape was heard by everyone in the Sky Demon Phoenix clan with the wind. Die! Then, Huangtian shouted angrily, and the huge wings that were thousands of feet long suddenly shook, and killed Zhu Yan, Han Nu and Han Zhu. Huangtian knew that the situation was over, and he wanted to kill a few weaker enemies before he died, which was considered the last consolation and revenge on Xiao Fan and others. Boom! With Huangtian's actions, the sky seemed to dim in an instant. That huge figure tore through the space at an astonishing speed. A huge black space crack flashed and hung across the sky. Large buildings in the clan territory of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan burst into ashes under the terrible impact of the airflow. Almost in the blink of an eye, Huangtian's huge figure had already arrived in front of Zhi Yan and the other two women. His huge eyes were full of cruelty and blood, and he was about to kill the three women on the spot. However, at this moment, an invisible space barrier suddenly appeared around the three women, protecting them firmly. At the same time, Xiao Fan's handsome figure also floated on Huangtian's back. "Are you so eager to die? This young master will fulfill your wish," Xiao Fan said faintly, and stepped hard. Plop! The next moment, Huangtian's huge figure of thousands of feet was uncontrollably stepped on the ground by Xiao Fan. Ah! A series of screams rang out, but it was many members of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan who were crushed by the huge body of their clan leader. This time, Huangtian was not pressed under the ground. It was because Xiao Fan also laid a space barrier on the ground. Huangtian just uttered a word, and then he was completely dead, his eyes wide open. And he died with his eyes wide open. Clan leader. The people of the Tian Yao Huang clan who were lucky enough to survive saw Huangtian die on the spot, and they couldn't help but cry out in pain. After crying out in pain, some people of the Tian Yao Huang clan chose to self-destruct directly. Other people of the Tian Yao Huang clan frantically urged their fighting spirit to escape from this place. Space blockade. Seeing this, Xiao Fan shouted in his heart, and instantly laid a huge space cage around the Tian Yao Huang clan, imprisoning all the people of the Tian Yao Huang clan. Unless they break the space cage laid by Xiao Fan, they will never be able to escape. You continue. After laying the space blockade, Xiao Fan unlocked the space protection around Zhi Yan, Han Nu and Han Zhu, and said to them, as for Yan and Yao Chen, Xiao Fan did not protect them because they did not need it. While Yan and others continued to kill people in the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, Xiao Fan activated the heaven-devouring and earth-devouring divine power, and directly devoured and refined the huge corpse of Huangtian into pure energy. This Huangtian is too useless. He couldn't even help me break through a small realm. After devouring and refining Huangtian's corpse, Xiao Fan shook his head with some dissatisfaction, and then his eyes flickered and looked at the remaining members of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. Forget it. I'd better help you escape from the sea of suffering as soon as possible, Xiao Fan whispered, and then directly joined the battle. The heaven-devouring and earth-devouring divine power was activated, and he continued to devour and refine the members of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, whether they were survivors or corpses. Not a single one was spared. After devouring and refining almost the entire Sky Demon Phoenix clan, Xiao Fan's cultivation was finally raised from the early stage of the 8-starred Emperor to the middle stage of the 8-starred Emperor. Half an hour later, there was no more member of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, including the corpse. The entire Sky Demon Phoenix clan was left with only broken walls and ruins, as well as the shocking traces of battle. Seeing Xiao Fan's methods, Yao Chen couldn't help but tremble, and looked as if he wanted to say something but stopped. Master Xiao Fan, you. The others didn't have any thoughts. Yao Chen didn't think Xiao Fan shouldn't kill the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, but among the Sky Demon Phoenix clan members, except for those who self-destructed, all the others were devoured and refined by Xiao Fan, which made Yao Chen a little worried. Yao Chen had a big picture in his mind. If Xiao Fan used the same method to deal with other major forces in order to improve himself, or even affected all the practitioners in the Qi continent, it would be too terrible. Zhi Yan said nonchalantly, "What do you mean, old man? Are you afraid that my brother Xiao Fan will devour you too?" Yao Chen said, "I don't mean that." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "I understand Mr. Yao's thoughts. My strength is not improved by devouring others. Moreover, this kind of devouring magic power also has limitations. It can devour natural treasures, the essence of heaven and earth, monsters, etc., but it cannot devour and refine humans. Sorry, I thought too much. Yao Chen was relieved when he heard Xiao Fan's words, and hurriedly apologized to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, "It doesn't matter. Now that the Sky Demon Phoenix clan has been eliminated, the resources collected by the Sky Demon Phoenix clan for tens of thousands of years cannot be wasted. Let's go and look for it together. Hee. I am the best at this, brother Xiao Fan. Watch me." Zhu Yan heard Xiao Fan's words and immediately shouted with joy, and immediately jumped in front to lead the way. "Let's go too." Xiao Fan smiled and said to King Lin, Yan and others, and then followed Zhu Yan to search for the treasure house of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. With the help of Zhu Yan's special ability, the group soon found the treasure house of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan and emptied it directly. After solving the problem of the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, at the invitation of Yao Chen, Xiao Fan and his group broke through the space and went to the direction of Xinyan Pavilion. Chapter 328. Feng Zun is shocked. Mai Xuyan asks for help. Xinyan Pavilion was established by Yao Chen, the medicine master, and Feng Zun, the wind master, in the Tangxing Mountains in the southern region of Zhongzhou due to their interests. It was based on a meteorite from outer space. Yao Chen was the pavilion master of Xinyan Pavilion, and Feng Zun was the deputy pavilion master. Yao Chen was indifferent and focused on refining medicine, so the affairs of Xinyan Pavilion were often handled by deputy pavilion master Feng Zun. When Yao Chen was killed by Han Feng and Elder Mu Gu, and only his soul escaped, Xinyan Pavilion was supported by Feng Zun. Feng Zun, like Yao Chen, also liked to travel around, but after learning the news of Yao Chen's return, Feng Zun returned to Xinyan Pavilion as soon as possible. Feng Zun now also stayed in Xinyan Pavilion and continued to manage the affairs of Xinyan Pavilion. After Yao Chen and Xiao Yan left because of the Lei Yan sect and the Han family of Danbai City, Feng Zun had been sending people to keep an eye on the Lei Yan sect and the Han family of Danbai City. Knowing that the crisis of the Han family had been resolved, but the Lei Yan sect had disappeared, Feng Zun couldn't help but worry about Yao Chen and Xiao Yan. On this day, Feng Zun was in Xinyan Pavilion, considering whether to go out to look for Yao Chen and Xiao Yan, when he suddenly sensed that there was a spatial fluctuation above Xinyan Pavilion. Feng Zun's expression changed slightly, and he immediately paid full attention to the spatial fluctuation. Soon, a spatial channel appeared, and it was Xiao Fan, Xiao Yan, Yao Chen and others who returned. Yao Chen, Xiao Yan, you are back. Feng Zun saw Yao Chen and Xiao Yan return safely, and immediately put aside his worries and greeted them with a smile. Yes, you are back. Yao Chen nodded in response, and then said, I will introduce a few friends to you. This is Mr. Xiao Fan, and these are. Yao Chen first introduced Xiao Fan and others to Feng Zun, and then introduced Feng Zun to Xiao Fan and others. After the two sides finished the courtesy, Feng Zun invited, let's go in and talk again. Xiao Fan didn't have any objection to this, and nodded and agreed. Afterwards, the group entered the reception room of Xinyan Pavilion and sat down as host and guest. I heard that the Han family's issue in Danbai City was resolved a long time ago. Where did you go after that? After reminiscing about the past, Feng Zun asked Yao Chen with some curiosity. Yao Chen did not answer but asked, do you know who attacked the Han family in Danbai City this time? Feng Zun said, who? Yao Chen said, those who attacked the Han family in Danbai City were the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, one of the Warcraft overlords, and their real target was actually the Lei Yan sect, or to be more precise, young Master Xiao Fan and Xiao Yan, because they are the sect master and deputy sect master of the Lei Yan sect respectively. Feng Zun was shocked when he heard this. It was the Sky Demon Phoenix clan. So, the Lei Yan sect was also attacked by them? What happened later? Yao Chen shook his head and said, the Lei Yan sect was not attacked by the Sky Demon Phoenix clan, but was taken in by young Master Xiao Fan into the world he opened up. Feng Zun looked at Xiao Fan in surprise and doubt when he heard this, and then said, so, young Master Xiao Fan is also a Cheng powerhouse. Xiao Yan smiled and said, Senior Feng is wrong again. My third brother has now surpassed the Cheng and reached the Emperor realm that was only available 10,000 years ago. The Emperor. When Feng Zun heard these two words, he stood up from his seat in shock. Zhu Yan said with a smile, Senior Feng, you are too unstable. Why are you making such a fuss? Feng Xian smiled bitterly. I really can't be stable, that's the emperor. Feng Xian did not doubt Xiao Yan's words at all. On the one hand, Feng Xian trusted Xiao Yan and Yao Chen, and he also knew the true strength of Xiao Yan and Yao Chen. On the other hand, Feng Xian felt that they would not use such a thing to make fun of him. Xiao Fan smiled and said, Your Excellency Feng, you don't have to worry too much. Daodi is also a human being. In ancient times, there were not many Daodi on the Qi continent, but there were not few either. Moreover, it won't be long. I believe that Qi continent will surely reproduce the glory of ancient times. Feng Xian was stunned when he heard Xiao Fan's words, and murmured, Reproducing the glory of ancient times? I am looking forward to it. After knowing that Xiao Fan was Daodi in advance, when Feng Xian heard that the Tian Yao Huang clan was destroyed by Xiao Fan and his party, he didn't think it was too shocking. After everyone chatted for a while, Xiao Fan and his party stayed in Xinyan Pavilion as guests. When he was free, Xiao Fan would occasionally chat in the Wanji chat group to relax. On this day, Xiao Fan was chatting in the chat group, and Mike Xuyan, who hadn't been active for a while, suddenly at him. Mike Xuyan, at Xiao Fan, Mr. Xiao, are you free? I wonder if you can help me. When Xiao Fan saw Mike Xuyan's message, his brows moved slightly, and he casually sent a message in response. Xiao Fan, at Mike Xuyan, if you are free, how can I help you? Mike Xuyan, I would like to ask you to treat the previous generation of Beast Kings in Artanfa Forest. Xiaoxiao, at Mike Xuyan, isn't your previous generation of Beast Kings guarding the cave that seals the 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld? Without Junmo's intervention, could it be that the 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld has broken through the seal and come out? Mike Xuyan, yes, the 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld has already broken through the seal. When he broke through the seal, Mike Xuyan, for many years, several Beast King predecessors have been using their own skills to bless the seal. Not only has their strength not improved, but it has also declined. After the 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld broke through the seal, he injured several of the Beast King predecessors. Dongba, ahem, if I were sealed for many years, I would definitely retaliate after breaking through the seal. Luo Feng, this can only be said to be a question of stance. Yan Lingjai, you actually speak for Sister Mai's enemies. You are done. Sister Mai is very powerful. Be careful, she will teach you a lesson. Evil smile. Dongba, Miss Mai, don't listen to Yan Lingjai. I absolutely do not mean to speak for your enemies. As a group member, I naturally stand on Miss Mai's side. Luo Feng, me too. Zhu Yuanzhang, I wonder who this 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld is? Why was he sealed? Is he also a kind of monster? Huang Rong, you are wrong this time. The 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld is not a monster, but belongs to the Nine Netherworld clan. If you insist, you can count it as a human. Wan, Master Zhu, in fact, Miss Mai and her predecessors are the monsters. Evil smile. Zhu Yuanzhang, ah, this, that, I have something else to do. I will leave first. Xiao Fan, okay, don't scare Zhu Yuanzhang. Xiao Fan, at Mike Xuyan, I just happen to be free now, so I'll go over and see your Beast King predecessors. Of course, whether they can be cured or not depends on their condition. Mike Xuyan, thank you, Mr. Zhao. I'll invite you right away. After that, Mike Xuyan directly sent an invitation to Xiao Fan through the Wanji chat group. Xiao Fan, you guys chat first, I'll go check out the situation. Xiao Fan sent a message in the group, and then accepted the invitation, and went to the world of the evil king of another world again through the Wanji chat group. Chapter 329 The Beast King's Shock and Surprise. The world of the evil king of another world, deep in the forest of punishment. After Mike Xuyan sent an invitation to Xiao Fan, she quietly waited for Xiao Fan's arrival. Not long after, space fluctuations appeared in the sky above the forest of punishment. An illusory mysterious light gate appeared, and Xiao Fan's figure slowly walked out of the mysterious light gate, stepped into the air, and landed beside Mike Xuyan. Mr. Zhao, I'm causing you trouble again. Mike Xuyan greeted Xiao Fan with a smile when she saw him coming. The moment she saw Xiao Fan, Mike Xuyan felt that her originally tense heartstrings instantly relaxed and settled down. Xiao Fan smiled and said, It's not a trouble, but I still say that I have to see the situation of several beast kings first. My Zhu Yan nodded slightly. I understand. I will take Mr. Xiao to see several beast king seniors. Under the leadership of my Zhu Yan, Xiao Fan soon met the previous generation of kings of the Forest of Punishment. The previous generation of kings of the Forest of Punishment were all in human form at this moment, looking like strong men in their 40s or 50s. At this moment, their auras seemed very weak, as if they were about to run out of energy. The 9 strong men frowned slightly when they saw Xiao Fan. After all, not long ago, they were tricked by the guys from the 3 holy places and Pyongyao Fantasy Palace. If they hadn't had the common enemy of Jiuyu 14th Young Master, and it was not suitable for a big battle in the center of the Heavenly Punishment Forest, they might have fallen out with the people from the 3 holy places and Pyongyao Fantasy Palace. Zhu Yan, why did you bring humans here? The leading strongman signaled others to stay calm, and then asked my Zhu Yan in a deep voice. This leading strongman was the leader of the last generation of beast kings, Liu Shengwang, whose cultivation had reached the 4th level of the Saint Emperor, equivalent to the realm of the 9 revolutions Zun in the Qi world. Unfortunately, at this time, because of his excessive consumption and injuries, he was afraid that he could only retain half of his strength. My Zhu Yan heard this and said respectfully, Dear Saint Emperor, this Mr. Xiao is a friend of mine. The new generation of beast kings in the Heavenly Punishment Forest have all received his kindness and have become as powerful as they are now with his help. Hearing my Zhu Yan's words, the eyes of the dear Saint Emperor and several other old beast kings looking at Xiao Fan softened a little. My Zhu Yan continued, I invited Mr. Xiao to come this time so that he can help the dear Saint Emperor and the seniors to heal their injuries. The dear Saint Emperor sighed and said, Your kindness, my brothers, and I appreciate it. However, our current situation is not the problem of injuries in this battle. You should take Mr. Xiao away. Xiao Fan smiled and said, This is the dear Saint Emperor, right? You don't have to be too pessimistic. Forgive me for being so presumptuous. When I saw you, I had already checked your situation. What? Hearing Xiao Fan's words, the faces of the dear Saint Emperor and several other old beast kings changed slightly. They never thought that Xiao Fan had already checked their situation, but they didn't notice it at all. This can only mean that Xiao Fan's strength has far surpassed theirs. At least it is far beyond their current state. My Zhu Yan said, Seniors, don't be surprised. 2 years ago, Mr. Xiao's cultivation had already reached the Saint King realm. Yes, 2 years have passed since Xiao Fan last came to the world of the evil lord of another world. Dear Saint Emperor sighed. Humans are indeed blessed by nature. Such a young man has reached the Saint King realm. It is really enviable. I wonder what conclusion Mr. Xiao has made after investigating our situation. After learning about Xiao Fan's powerful cultivation, dear Saint Emperor couldn't help but feel a little hope in his heart. Xiao Fan is now in the Daodi realm, in the world of the evil lord of another world. Even the strongest saint realm may not be his opponent. However, there is no need for Xiao Fan to explain anything more. Xiao Fan smiled and said, Your situation is quite serious. Because of the almost non-stop consumption for hundreds of years, your vitality is greatly damaged. Under normal circumstances, I am afraid that you will not live long. My Zhu Yan's face changed drastically when she heard this. It's so serious, Mr. Xiao. You must save the seniors. Liu Shengwang and his old brothers didn't show much expression when they heard Xiao Fan's words, because they knew their physical conditions better than Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan nodded and said, Don't worry, Miss Mai, I just checked and found that it is not too difficult to rescue them. Really not difficult? Liu Shengwang didn't believe what Xiao Fan said. Liu Shengwang felt that even if Xiao Fan had a way to save them, he would have to spend some effort. Now listening to Xiao Fan's tone, it seemed very simple, but he didn't dare to believe it. Xiao Fan smiled faintly, We'll know if it's true or not after we try it. Of course, if you don't dare to try, then I can't do anything. Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Bear Saint King Zhongpili shouted loudly, Who said we don't dare? Let's try it on me first to see if your treatment is true or not. Monkey Saint King Hose Yuangzi said, Let me go first. Then, the other beast kings started shouting. Obviously, they didn't have much confidence in Xiao Fan's treatment, but they didn't want to give up, and they were also worried that the treatment process would be dangerous. so they all scrambled to be the first. Dear Saint Emperor waved his hand and said, "Okay, what's the matter? Let's start with me. I believe in Master Xiao's ability." Brother. Hearing this, the other beast kings all spoke out in worry. Xiao Fan shrugged slightly. You look like this. If you don't know, you might think you are rushing to give yourself away. Don't worry, there will be no danger in the treatment process. Mike Zuyan also advised, Seniors, I believe that Master Xiao will not do anything that he is not sure of, so don't think too much. Lu Shengwang nodded slightly and said to Xiao Fan, Sorry to make you laugh, Master Xiao. Xiao Fan smiled and said, I envy the brotherhood between the seniors. Lu Shengwang nodded and continued, Let me start first, please trouble Master Xiao. Xiao Fan said, Then let's start. Mind, Xuanqi is quite special and can stimulate people's vitality. I will inject Xuanqi into the seniors' bodies later. Seniors, don't resist. Okay, Lu Shengwang agreed without hesitation. After hearing this, immediately, Xiao Fan converted his qi into the Xuanqi mode of Xiaoxiao incontinent, and infused it into his body through Lu Shengwang's shoulders, while stimulating the vitality he absorbed when he refined Yimu Xuanshan Le. The other 8 beast kings all looked at Xiao Fan eagerly as he treated the dear Saint Emperor, their eyes showing both nervousness and strong expectations. Sister, good news. At this moment, at the entrance of the retreat of the 9 old beast kings, an excited voice was heard. Chapter 330 The Beast King is grateful. Jun Moxie's thoughts, as the voice fell, a somewhat silly-looking strong man rushed in quickly. Seeing the person coming, Mike Zuyan frowned slightly and scolded, Zhang Keishan, what are you doing rashly? The person who came was Zhang Keishan, the 4th of the new generation of beast kings. Zhang Keishan was scolded by Mike Zuyan, and he immediately wilted, and said cautiously, Sister, am I not happy? He Laozin and I have found a way to treat several seniors. Mike Zuyan said lightly, Okay, don't mention your methods. Now that Mr. Xiao has taken action, several seniors will recover soon. Huh? Mr. Xiao, when did you come? Hearing Mike Zuyan's words, Zhang Keishan paid close attention and found that there was one more person, Xiao Fan, who had helped them a lot before. In Zhang Keishan's heart, the gratitude for Xiao Fan was no less than that of Mike Zuyan. After not seeing Xiao Fan for 2 years, Zhang Keishan still missed him a little. Let's talk about the past later, Xiao Fan casually responded to Zhang Keishan, and continued to concentrate on infusing the mysterious energy-containing vitality into the body of dear Saint Emperor. Oh, Zhang Keishan saw that Xiao Fan was treating dear Saint Emperor, and immediately did not dare to disturb him, and waited obediently by the side. As for the matter that he had just rushed over excitedly and wanted to announce the good news, he had forgotten it. A quarter of an hour later, Xiao Fan withdrew his hand from dear Saint Emperor's shoulder, and dear Saint Emperor's body was full of vitality again. Brother, how do you feel? Seeing Xiao Fan finishing his work, several other old beast kings came to dear Saint Emperor and expressed their concern. Dear Saint Emperor said with a smile on his face, I am in good condition now, and I feel like I have been reborn. Great. The other beast kings were immediately surprised and delighted when they heard this. Dear Saint Emperor stood up, bowed to Xiao Fan, and said solemnly, Thank you, Mr. Xiao, for your kindness in saving me. I am grateful. If you need me in the future, just ask. I will never refuse. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Then, several other old beast kings, Zhang Keishan and Mike Zuyan bowed to Xiao Fan and thanked him. Xiao Fan waved his hand, and a gentle force lifted up the beast kings from the air. He smiled and said, For me, it's just a little effort. Don't be too polite. Besides, Miss Mai and I are good friends. You are like Miss Mai's family. We are all family members. There is no need to be so polite. Zhang Keishan said casually, Mr. Xiao is right. We are all family. From now on, Mr. Xiao's affairs will be the affairs of our Tanfa forest. When dear Saint Emperor and other old beast kings heard Zhang Keishan's words, their eyes flashed slightly, and finally they chose to acquiesce. Since Xiao Fan can save dear Saint Emperor, he can save the other 8 old beast kings. At the same time, he cured the 9 of them, and also allowed the Heaven Punishment Forest to have 9 Saint Emperors in good condition for a long time. Such a great favor deserves their treatment. What's more, Xiao Fan's strength is far superior to theirs, and it is highly likely that he will not need them for anything. Ma Xuyan listened to the conversation between the two sides, and she didn't know what she thought of, and her face suddenly flushed. Xiao Fan smiled. Let's not talk about this for now, I will continue to treat the other seniors. When the other old beast kings heard Xiao Fan's words, their eyes suddenly lit up and their faces were full of expectations. Before, they were skeptical about whether Xiao Fan could cure them. Now that the dear Saint Emperor has had personal experience, they no longer have any doubts about Xiao Fan, and are full of hope for the future. Next, Xiao Fan treated the problem of excessive consumption of vitality for the other beast kings one by one. However, his treatment just now did not have much effect on their recent injuries. Xiao Fan took out a portion of the powder of the heaven and earth immortal milk and handed it to Lu Shengwang. Take it with water, it should have a good effect on the injuries suffered by several seniors recently. Thank you, Mr. Zhao. Lu Shengwang thanked Xiao Fan again and took the heaven and earth immortal milk powder with both hands. Zhang Keishan told them about the preciousness of this thing. When Lu Shengwang and others learned about the preciousness of the heaven and earth immortal milk powder, they were even more grateful to Xiao Fan. Ma Xuyan and Zhang Keishan were also very grateful to Xiao Fan. After the treatment was done, the two sides chatted casually, the atmosphere was very harmonious, and the scene was full of joy. At the same time, in the Heaven Punishment Forest, the residence of the Crane King Xiaoxiao was sitting opposite a handsome young man with sword eyebrows and starry eyes, drinking the monkey wine he borrowed from the Monkey King. What is this young Lacy doing? He hasn't come back for so long. After drinking another jar of monkey wine, Xiaoxiao muttered and complained. The young man smiled when he heard this. I guess the Beast Kings don't trust me. Zhang Keishan is trying to convince them, Xiaoxiao said a little embarrassedly. Third young Master Jun, I'm really sorry. Several Saint Kings have been in seclusion for hundreds of years. I don't know what you are capable of. It turned out that the young man with sword eyebrows and starry eyes opposite Xiaoxiao was the son of destiny in the world of the evil king of another world, Jun Moxi, the third young master of the Jun family of the Tanxiang Empire. Although Jun Moxi was not as close to the beast kings of the Tanfa forest as in the original book because of Xiao Fan's intrusion, but with the two beast kings Xiaoxiao and Zhang Keishan as a link, Jun Moxi's relationship with the Tanfa forest is not bad. Jun Moxi still confronted the three holy places as in the original book. 2 years ago, with Xiao Fan and Ma Xuyan, they easily dealt with the people of the three holy places. But Jun Moxi didn't have that ability. He barely survived the siege of the three holy places by relying on the illusory title of master. Last time, when Jun Moxi secretly went to the Heaven Punishment Forest to collect herbs, he happened to encounter the 9 Nether 14th young master breaking the seal and coming out, and also learned about the hostile relationship between the three holy places and the Heaven Punishment Forest. Adhering to the principle that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, Jun Moxi thought about healing the old beast kings in the Heaven Punishment Forest and deepening the relationship with the Heaven Punishment Forest. At that time, with the Heaven Punishment Forest blocking the way, their Jun family, the Dongfeng family, and Fengsu Silver City can be more relaxed. Just now, Zhang Keishan excitedly went to find Ma Xuyan and Lu Shengwang and the others, shouting about great joy, which was referring to the fact that Jun Moxi could cure the 9 old beast kings. However, Jun Moxi never thought that Xiao Fan, who had disappeared for more than 2 years, would appear again, and as soon as Xiao Fan appeared, he did what he was going to do in advance. Jun Moxi heard what Xiaoxiao said and smiled. It's okay, I understand. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry, and I can enjoy such delicious monkey wine. I'm taking advantage of it. Xiaoxiao heard what Jun Moxi said and laughed. Don't worry, Third Master Jun, there's plenty of monkey wine. Just then, 3 figures were walking slowly towards them not far away. Old Fourth Zhang is back, and there's Big Sister. That's. Xiaoxiao quickly noticed the people coming, and he suddenly stopped talking halfway. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331, The So-Called Loyal Advice. Huge shock. Mr. Xiao, when did you come? Xiaoxiao stood up and quickly went to meet him, exclaiming in surprise. It was because Xiaoxiao recognized Xiao Fan, who was beside Zhu Yuanzhang and Zhang Keishan, at a glance. At the beginning, Xiaoxiao had also received Xiao Fan's favor and was also very grateful to Xiao Fan. Moreover, Xiao Fan's strength was incomparably strong, and his position in Xiaoxiao's heart was many times higher than Junmu's. After seeing Xiao Fan, Xiaoxiao ignored Junmu. Lao-san, I have good news to tell you. The injuries of Lu Shengwang and the seniors have all been cured by Mr. Xiao. When Zhang Keishan saw Xiaoxiao coming to meet him, he opened his mouth wide and announced the good news happily. Xiaoxiao was overjoyed when he heard this. Really? That's great. As expected of Master Xiao, he solved the biggest problem of Tanfa Forest with one move. After that, Xiaoxiao bowed to Xiao Fan and said solemnly, "Thank you Master Xiao for your kindness." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Okay, we are all friends. There is no need to thank each other all the time." Junmu, who was standing aside, naturally recognized Xiao Fan and heard what Zhang Keishan said, and he couldn't help but feel helpless. He was still thinking about saving several old beast kings in Tanfa Forest, showing kindness to Tanfa Forest and deepening the relationship with Tanfa Forest, but he didn't expect that Xiao Fan would get there first. Junmu didn't dare to have any dissatisfaction in front of Xiao Fan, and could only smile bitterly to himself. Taking a deep breath and adjusting his mood, Junmu stepped forward and bowed slightly to Xiao Fan and Zhu Yuanzhang. "Young Master Xiao, Venerable Mai, long time no see, how have you been recently?" Xiao Fan said with a smile. "It's true that I haven't seen young Master Jun for some time. Young Master Jun's strength has improved a lot." Junmu smiled bitterly and said, "In front of young Master Xiao, my little cultivation is nothing." Zhu Yuanzhang said, "I heard from Zhang Keishan that young Master Jun also has methods to treat the senior beast kings, but now young Master Xiao has cured them, so there is no need to rub young Master Jun, but I still want to thank young Master Jun for his kindness." Junmu said frankly, "Venerable Mai, you are polite. In fact, I took the initiative to come to you and proposed to save the senior beast kings of Tanfa. I also wanted to make friends with Tanfa Forest and deal with our common enemy." Zhu Yuanzhang said lightly, "You are quite honest." Junmu said, "I heard from Crane King and Bear King that the three holy places have long harbored great hostility towards the Tanfa Forest. 2 years ago in Tanxiang City, the three holy places wanted to kill Venerable Mai and the Snake King. This is clear evidence. Recently, they have been treacherous again and started a war in the Tanfa Forest, causing considerable losses to the Tanfa Forest. I'm afraid they have never really regarded Tanfa as an ally. The three holy places are unkind and unjust. Why should Venerable Mai and the Beast Kings of Tanfa bother to put their hot faces on the cold butts of the three holy places? How dare you?" Zhu Yuanzhang's face turned cold when she heard Junmu's words. She shouted angrily and pressed towards Junmu with a terrifying momentum. Junmu barely resisted Zhu Yuanzhang's momentum and said dimly, "Venerable Mai, although my words are a bit harsh, as the saying goes, the truth hurts. I hope Venerable Mai can consider it more. I know Venerable Mai is concerned about the battle of seizing the heavens. Even if there were no despicable villains from the three major sacred places, the battle of seizing the heavens would not necessarily be lost. What's more, we have a top powerhouse like young Master Xiao on our side." Xiao Fan chuckled when he heard this. "Haha, young Master Jun is forced into a corner by the people from the three major sacred places, and wants to seek help, right? All of this is just to get us to help you deal with the three major sacred places." Junmu smiled bitterly when he heard Xiao Fan's words. Sure enough, nothing can be hidden from young Master Xiao. Because of the auction more than 2 years ago, the Jun family and I have become targets in the eyes of the three major sacred places. In addition, the three major sacred places lost a lot of people in that battle, and they have become even more resentful of me. Young Master Xiao, Venerable Mai and others. Young Master Xiao is elusive. They couldn't do anything to you, so they started to target the Tanfa Forest and our Jun family. especially since our Jun family is alone and has been oppressed to the point of being unable to survive. Xiao Fan looked at Mike Zuyan on the side. Have the three major holy places taken action against the Tanfa forest in the past 2 years? Mike Zuyan's face looked a little ugly, and she nodded slowly and said, that's true, but those sent by the three major holy places were all good-for-nothings and were sent away by me. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. Sometimes, I can't tell whether you are a mysterious beast or those guys from the three major holy places are the mysterious beasts. Mike Zuyan said, although there are some despicable and shameless people in the three major holy places, there are also many people with great righteousness. In addition, the battle to seize the sky is imminent, and we must always keep some strength to deal with the aliens. Haha. In the battle to seize the sky, the Tanqing Palace behind the three major holy places, and the 9 beast kings of your Tanfa's previous generation, are the real main forces. Xiao Fan chuckled when he heard this. Mike Zuyan nodded and said, the people of Tanqing Palace are the high-end combat force in the battle to seize the sky, but the middle-level forces are also indispensable. Junmo raised his brows slightly when he heard the conversation between Xiao Fan and Mike Zuyan. Tanqing Palace? Is there such a force on the mainland? Mike Zuyan said lightly, so you are ignorant. Do you think the three holy places are so easy to deal with? Among the three holy places, the strongest is only at the Saint Emperor realm. If I go all out, I may not be without a chance of winning, but the three holy places are the cornerstones of Tanqing Palace. If the three holy places are facing the danger of destruction, the strong men of Tanqing Palace will definitely take action. It was the first time that Junmo heard of Tanqing Palace. He was a little surprised and doubtful and said, are the people of Tanqing Palace very strong? Xiao Fan said lightly, the Saint Emperor level is already the weakest in Tanqing Palace. There are no less than 50 people in Tanqing Palace at the Saint Lord level above the Saint Emperor. There is also more than one Saint Lord level in Tanqing Palace. Hiss, so strong. Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Zhang Keishan and Xiaoxiao could not help but take a breath of cold air, and were extremely shocked. They had already learned about the realm division above the Saint realm from Xiao Fan and Mike Zuyan. However, they never thought that there were so many strong people in the Tanqing Palace, not to mention Xiaoxiao and Zhang Keishan. Even Mike Zuyan and Jun Moxie were shocked. Although Mike Zuyan knew that the Tanqing Palace was very powerful, she didn't know how strong it was. It was the first time that Jun Moxie heard that there was such a powerful force as the Tanqing Palace in the world. With such a powerful force, if he tried his best to deal with the Jun family, even if he racked his brains, there was no way to save the Jun family, and even he himself would not be able to escape death, right? Thinking in his heart, Jun Moxie couldn't help but feel a lot of pressure. Xiao Fan looked at Jun Moxie's changing expression and couldn't help but smile. However, third young master Jun, you don't have to despair. In fact, your trump card is more powerful than you can imagine, but you haven't used it well yet. Jun Moxie's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he bowed to Xiao Fan and said solemnly, please give me some advice, young master. Chapter 332 Jun Moxie's gratitude triggers a new sign-in. Xiao Fan said, there is a world inside your Hongjun Tower. You can take all the people in the Jun family and your close friends into the Hongjun Tower. If you are the only one left outside, you can attack or defend. Junmo was stunned when he heard this. Can the Hongjun Tower really take other people in? Why couldn't I take other living beings in when I tried it before? Xiao Fan smiled and said, when you did the experiment, I was probably before I traded the Hongjun Tower bead with you, right? Before the Hongjun Tower had the bead, it really couldn't take in living things, but now it can. When Junmo heard what Xiao Fan said, he suddenly realized something and the pressure in his heart was suddenly relieved a lot. Thank you, Mr. Xiao, for your advice. Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, I was just talking. In fact, even if I didn't say it now, you would have discovered it sooner or later. Junmo said, it may not be a big deal to Mr. Xiao, but it is a great favor to me. Xiao Fan smiled and said, it's up to you. By the way, what realm has young Master Xiao reached now? Junmo's eyes flickered, and he suddenly thought of something, and asked Xiao Fan with some curiosity. Mike Zuyan, Xiaoxiao and Zhang Keishan all looked at Xiao Fan with some curiosity. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, and slowly said, "My current realm is roughly equivalent to the realm of a saint. Above the saint is a semi-saint, and above the semi-saint is the realm of a saint." Saint Junmoi, Mike Zuyan, Xiaoxiao and Zhang Keishan were shocked again when they heard Xiao Fan's realm. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "With the aptitude and opportunity of young Master Jun, he will surely break through to the saint realm in the near future. Miss Mai has her own opportunity and can also reach this realm." Zhang Keishan hurriedly said, "Young Master Zhao, what about me? Do you think I can break through to the saint realm in the future?" Xiaoxiao rolled his eyes at Zhang Keishan. Young Master Zhao only mentioned young Master Jun and the eldest sister. "Isn't the meaning very clear? You still ask it out loud. Aren't you asking for trouble? With your and my aptitude, we should be grateful to be able to reach the Saint Emperor realm." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "The Saint Emperor realm is certainly not a problem for you. As for the Saint realm, there may be a chance. It depends on whether your eldest sister can reach a higher realm. Then you can naturally take off." Zhang Keishan was overjoyed when he heard this. "Haha, it seems that I, old Zhang, still have a chance. Big sister, you must work hard to practice. Whether I, old Zhang, can break through to the saint realm depends on you." Mike Zuyan rolled her eyes at Zhang Keishan, too lazy to answer this fool. Mike Zuyan understood that the opportunity Xiao Fan was talking about was referring to the Wanji chat group. However, in the Wanji chat group, the most important thing to improve the strength of cultivation is points. In the past, points were used directly to improve cultivation, but now points can be used to purchase resources to improve strength in the chat group mall. Junmo couldn't help but shrink his pupils when he heard Xiao Fan's words. "Mr. Zhao, are you saying that there is a higher realm above the saint?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "In this world, the saint realm may be the highest realm, but the saints in this world are not a little bit different from the saints in other worlds. So, it's not strange that there are saints in other worlds that surpass this world." When Junmo heard this, he immediately thought of the saints in the myths and legends of his previous life. The most famous one was the Nuwa saint. That kind of power is not something that ordinary people can imagine. After a long while, Junmo said, "I am truly ignorant and short-sighted. With Mr. Zhao's strength, even the Dancing Palace will not pose any threat to you." Xiao Fan said indifferently, "That's right. However, the group of old people in the Dancing Palace are basically good. It's a pity that they only know how to practice, but neglect to discipline the three holy places." Junmo's eyes turned, and he said tentatively, "In that case, if we can ask the seniors of the Dancing Palace to come forward and let them restrain the three holy places, wouldn't everyone be able to unite and prepare for the battle to seize the sky?" Ding. Triggering the sign-in task. Please go to the Dancing Palace to sign in. The sign-in reward is unknown. Xiao Fan was about to say something when the familiar voice of the system suddenly rang in his mind. Hearing that voice, Xiao Fan's heart was slightly moved, and he smiled and said, "Does the third young Master Jun want me to come forward and put pressure on the people of Dancing Palace?" Jun Moxie hurriedly said, "I have great respect for those seniors who are truly concerned about the people of the world and are determined to fight against alien races. I have no such intention, and I dare not use young Master Zhao. According to what you said, young Master Zhao, the seniors of Dancing Palace must be reasonable people. As long as I explain everything to them in person, they will definitely come forward to restrain the three holy places. It's just that I am weak and have little knowledge. If I go alone, I am afraid that I will not be able to see the seniors of Dancing Palace at all. Therefore, I hope that there will be strong people like young Master Zhao and Master Mai to go to Dancing Palace together. Moreover, this also involves the Danfa Forest after all. Although, according to what Xiao Fan said, Jun Moxie can take all his family members into Hongjun Tower. But this kind of forced and aggrieved method, Jun Moxie really doesn't want to use it unless there is no other way. Moreover, his relatives and friends each have their own relatives and friends. With such a cycle of involvement, how many people should be collected? Therefore, Jun Moxie thought of using Xiao Fan's power to persuade Dancing Palace to intervene in the three holy places. At least, Dancing Palace should guarantee that they will not come out to deal with him and the Jun family. If it is just a group of guys from the three holy places, Jun Moxie feels that he will be able to catch up or even crush them soon. Zhu Yuan's eyes flashed slightly when she heard Jun Moxie's words, although she didn't say anything. She also had some expectations in her heart. If Danqing Palace could come forward to restrain those people from the three holy places, Danfa Forest would naturally not have to be targeted by the three holy places, nor would it have to kill each other and lose its manpower to fight against alien races. However, she and Danfa Forest have already received a great favor from Xiao Fan, and Zhu Yuan is a little embarrassed to ask Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled when he heard this, and looked at Zhu Yuan beside him and asked, "Miss Mai, do you know the exact location of the Danqing Palace?" Zhu Yuan said, "Young Master Xiao is really going to the Danqing Palace?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "What the third young Master Jun said does make some sense, and I'm afraid the three holy places still hate me. I'm also responsible for the feud with the three holy places. I have nothing to do, so I'll go to the Danqing Palace." "Thank you, young Master Xiao." Jun Moxie was very surprised to hear that Xiao Fan was going to the Danqing Palace, and hurriedly thanked him. Zhu Yuan thought for a while and said, "I haven't been to the Danqing Palace either. I can ask Lu Xiangwang later." Xiao Fan naturally had no objection to this. Immediately, the group went to find Lu Xiangwang again. When Lu Xiangwang learned that Xiao Fan was going to the Danqing Palace, he first persuaded him. After learning about Xiao Fan's strength, he was shocked and told him the location of the Danqing Palace, and expressed his desire to go to the Danqing Palace with Xiao Fan and others. So, Xiao Fan, Zhu Yuan, Lu Xiangwang, Jun Moxie and others left the Heavenly Punishment Forest and headed for the Heavenly Saint Palace. Chapter 333, The mountain is named Renjian, in front of Danqing Palace. After leaving the Heaven Punishment Forest, under the guidance of the Dear Saint Emperor, the group continued to move southeast. Zhu Yuan, Dear Saint Emperor and Jun Moxie were all masters of the Saint Emperor realm, and Xiao Fan had even reached the Saint realm of this world. The group's speed was not slow at all. Along the way, starting from the periphery of the Heaven Punishment Forest, it was first a barren land, and then the population gradually increased. After rushing all the way to the southeast for a few days, the population became sparse again, and it became more and more desolate. On this day, the group climbed to the top of a high mountain. Looking ahead, there was a continuous mountain range, as if it extended to the end of the sky. But looking back, there was almost no trace of human survival. The Dear Saint Emperor sighed. "Mr. Zhu Yuan, do you know what this mountain is called?" Zhu Yuan asked curiously. "I don't know what this mountain is called." Jun Moxie's eyes flickered slightly, looking at the continuous mountain range in front of him, wondering what he was thinking. When Xiao Fan heard what Lu Xiangwang said, he couldn't help but think of the story in the original book when Jun Moxie followed Xiao Yan and others to the Danqing Palace for the first time. Sure enough, Lu Xiangwang said faintly, "This mountain is called Renjian." "Renjian? This name is a bit strange," Jun Moxie murmured. "The north of this mountain is the human world, and the south is a barren area. This is the origin of the name of this mountain." Lu Xiangwang looked at the endless desolate area in front of him and explained, "The further north this mountain goes, the denser the population. Most of the human heritage is concentrated there. Tens of thousands of years of development and reproduction have finally formed today's prosperous world. If we want to keep this prosperous world, we must not fail in the battle to seize the sky." Zhu Yuan said solemnly. "Lu Xiangwang, don't worry, we will definitely win the battle to seize the sky." Jun Moxie curled his lips, but he didn't care much about these. Jun Moxie has never been a lofty person. He just wants to live his life well. If the three holy places had not taken the initiative to cause trouble for him, he would not have fought with them constantly. He did not want to care about other things. Of course, if he was strong enough, he would not mind killing some foreigners and contributing to Xiaoxiao continent. Dear Saint Emperor said solemnly, "I hope so. However, although the aliens are disgusting, their strength should not be underestimated. The battle for the heavens is approaching, and we must not be careless. However, if young Master Xiao is willing to lend a helping hand at that time, I think our chances of winning the battle for the heavens will be even greater." Xiao Fan smiled when he heard this. "Ha ha, Senior Lu has gone around in a big circle, and it turns out you are waiting for me here. Don't worry, I will lend you a helping hand when dealing with those aliens." Dear Saint Emperor bowed to Xiao Fan and said solemnly, "With young Master Xiao's words, I feel relieved." At this time, Jun Moxie on the side said, "I have always heard you talk about the battle for the heavens, which concerns the fate of countless people in Xiaoxiao continent. I wonder what caused this battle for the heavens?" Dear Saint Emperor pointed to the highest mountain in the distance in the south, and asked instead of answering, "Do you see that highest mountain?" Jun Moxie looked in the direction of the sound, and saw a majestic mountain rising straight up from the ground in the mist, and above the clouds, there was the mountain body. He couldn't even see where the top of the mountain was, let alone piercing the sky. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "This mountain should be Tanzhu Mountain, right?" Lu Shengwang nodded slightly. "Yes, the highest peak is Tanzhu Mountain, the highest peak in Xiaoxiao continent, and it is also a natural barrier against alien races." Speaking of the source of the battle of seizing the heaven, it is related to the Tanzhu Mountain. According to ancient legends, Tanzhu Mountain is the end of the sky, and even gods and demons cannot climb it. About 9,000 years ago, Tanzhu Mountain suddenly collapsed a mountain range for some reason. Next, Lu Shengwang told the few people about the changes in Tanzhu Mountain and the cause of the battle of seizing the heaven. Of course, Lu Shengwang mainly told Xiao Fan, hoping that Xiao Fan could contribute more in the next battle of seizing the heaven. In fact, among the people present, only Jun Moxie did not know the origin of the war of seizing the heaven. After listening to the story of the Lu Shengwang, especially the mention of those disgusting foreigners, Jun Moxie immediately showed a look of disgust. "So the so-called war of seizing the heaven is because of this. It is my duty to deal with those disgusting guys." Lu Shengwang was also slightly satisfied when he heard Jun Moxie's statement. Jun Moxie is only 17 or 18 years old now, and he is already a strong man in the realm of Saint Emperor. In a few years, when the war of seizing the heaven takes place, I am afraid he will be a strong man at the level of Saint Venerable. It is also a good thing that he is willing to contribute to the war of seizing the heaven. Several people stayed at the mountain called the human world for a while, and then continued to rush to the Heavenly Saint Palace. The Heavenly Saint Palace is on the mountain ahead. 3 days later, Lu Shengwang stopped at the foot of a mountain, and said to Xiao Fan and the other two with a solemn look, "Just a few dozen miles ahead, a towering mountain rose from the ground. On the top of the mountain, a few houses could be seen faintly in the snow. Those were clearly dozens of thatched houses. A few lush tree trunks supported the main structure, with green buds sprouting, and the roofs were covered with vines. The buildings couldn't be simpler." "Is this the legendary Tanqing Palace?" "It's too simple, isn't it?" Jun Moi looked at the thatched houses and couldn't help but exclaimed in surprise. In Jun Moi's mind, the legendary Tanqing Palace should be magnificent, like a palace. Who would have thought that it would be such a dilapidated scene in front of him? Xiao Fan smiled slightly when he heard this. "What you see is just the appearance. When you get to Tanqing Palace, you will know that this Tanqing Palace is not only not simple, but also very luxurious." "Who is it? How dare you trespass into Tanqing Palace and make irresponsible comments about Tanqing Palace?" At this moment, a cold voice came from the top of the mountain. As the voice fell, 2 figures also flew rapidly towards their location from the top of the mountain. A moment later, 2 thin middle-aged men stopped 3 meters in front of Xiao Fan and his group. When they recognized the dear Saint Queen among the group, their attitudes seemed to ease a little. One of the middle-aged men asked the dear Saint Emperor indifferently, "So you are the dear Saint Emperor of Tanfa? I wonder if you brought people to the Tanqing Palace. What's the matter?" As for Xiao Fan, Jun Moxie and Mike Zuyan, they seemed to be ignored by them. Upon hearing this, the dear Saint Emperor bowed slightly and said politely, "I dare not." Lu greets the 2 seniors, Tanjian and Zhu Dao. It turned out that these 2 people were the 2 guardians of the Tanqing Palace, Cheng Yingxiao, the sealing-hard heavenly sword, and Ku Wu, the instinctively wild knife. If it were only about age, the dear Saint Emperor might be older than them, but he was not as strong as them, so he could only lower his posture. Hearing how dear Saint Emperor addressed the newcomers, Xiao Fan couldn't help but raise his brows slightly. He had already guessed their identities in his heart and glanced at the 2 of them. Chapter 334, Tanqing Palace is shaken. Jun Moxie is envious. Xiao and Ku Wuyi suddenly felt a sense of extreme danger, as if they were being stared at by some great terror. The feeling came and went quickly, and the two of them were confused, but they did not show it on their faces. Ku Wuyi nodded to Lu Shengwang and said lightly, "Brother Lu, there is no need to be polite, just tell me your purpose." Lu Shengwang said, "Lu is only a guide this time, mainly to bring young Master Xiao to see the palace master of Danqing Palace. This is young Master Xiao Fan, whose strength is not inferior to that of the palace master of Danqing Palace." While speaking, Lu Shengwang also gestured to Xiao Fan's position. Lu Shengwang said that Xiao Fan's cultivation was not inferior to that of the palace master of Danqing Palace, which was already a face-saving move for Danqing Palace. Hearing Lu Shengwang's words, Xiao and Ku Wuyi's faces suddenly changed, and they all looked at Xiao Fan, who was almost ignored by them. Xiao looked at Xiao Fan and said in doubt, "You said that this young Master Xiao is not inferior to the palace master in strength. Is this true?" Although Ku Wuyi did not speak, he was also skeptical in his heart. Xiao Fan was really too young, you know. Their Danqing Palace master practiced for 1,000 years to reach his current state. Xiao Fan looked only about 20 years old. How could he have such a strong strength? However, they suddenly thought of the fear that had arisen in their hearts at a certain moment before. Xiao Fan was too lazy to waste time and directly released a strong aura comparable to the peak of the Saint Realm. Boom! In an instant, the terrifying aura suddenly permeated the entire Danqing Mountain. Xiao and Ku Wuyi, who were standing in front of Xiao Fan, were directly oppressed by Xiao Fan's powerful momentum and fell to the ground with a thump. Xiao and Ku Wuyi's faces changed drastically, and they were shocked beyond words, and at the same time, they couldn't help but feel fear. Even when facing the palace master of Danqing Palace, Guhan, they had never felt such great pressure. At the same time, they couldn't help but feel a little worried, wondering what Xiao Fan came to the palace master for. The Lu Shengwang on the side, only felt a little bit of the aftermath, and was also shocked and retreated again, and was extremely shocked. Before, although Mai Xuyan had told Lu Shengwang about Xiao Fan's strength realm, but at this moment, Lu Shengwang really felt Xiao Fan's strength for the first time. Xiao Fan slowly restrained his breath, looked at Xiao and Ku Wuyi who were in a mess, and said lightly, "Now, can I prove my strength?" After Xiao Fan retracted his breath, Xiao and Ku Wuyi staggered to their feet and hurriedly said, "Young Master Xiao is powerful. We admire him." At the same time, on Danqing Mountain, including Guhan, all the Danqing Palace masters also sensed the extremely terrifying momentum coming from the foot of the mountain. One by one, they lifted the state of cultivation, and their expressions were solemn. What happened? Such a strong momentum. Could it be that the strength of the 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld has recovered so quickly? I'm afraid not. I think that even the 14th young master of the Nine Netherworld is not as good as him. Everyone, please be patient, said Guhan, the palace master of the Danqing Palace, in a calm voice when everyone in the Danqing Palace was talking about it. After hearing Guhan's voice, everyone unconsciously felt much more at ease, as if the palace master Guhan gave them great confidence. After Guhan calmed everyone in the Danqing Palace, he said to the foot of the mountain, "Xiao, Ku Wuyi, bring the guests up the mountain." Xiao and Ku Wuyi were relieved when they heard Guhan's words. Originally, they didn't know how to respond to Xiao Fan. "Mr. Xiao, Brother Lu, and these two, please." Xiao clasped his fists to Xiao Fan and then spoke politely to the four people. Originally, Xiao was only going to greet Xiao Fan and Lu Shengwang, but after a slight hesitation, he still greeted Mai Xuyan and Jun Moxie. Because Xiao was a little unsure whether Mai Xuyan and Jun Moxie were also as powerful as Xiao Fan but did not show it. Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and walked ahead without hesitation, heading towards the top of Danqing Mountain. The others followed closely behind. Not long after, the group finally climbed up Danqing Mountain. Jun Moxie saw the various precious items on Danqing Mountain from a close distance, and his eyes widened immediately. "Mr. Xiao, you are still far-sighted, and I am short-sighted. This is not simple. It is simply luxurious to the extreme. The entire mountain-top flatland is so rich in spiritual energy that it almost forms a substance. Dancing Palace consists of a total of more than 100 houses, and the pillars of each house are all large trees that are still growing. This kind of tree is called Xuanlingmu, and the age of the tree can reach more than 10,000 years. Cut into wood pieces and worn on the body, it can have the effect of concentrating the mind and calming the heart, and last for hundreds of years without being immortal. The living Xuanling wood itself is similar to a small gathering spirit array, which can spontaneously gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Every house here needs at least 6 Xuanling trees. In such an environment, you don't have to worry about your mind being disturbed and going astray. As for the walls of the hut and the various vines around it, they are almost all very rare treasures of heaven and earth. Junmo couldn't help drooling when he saw the treasures of heaven and earth all over the ground. He secretly thought in his heart, if he could take away all these treasures of heaven and earth, I don't know how many powerful men he could cultivate. Xiaoxiao and Ku Wuyi felt a little embarrassed when they heard Junmo's words, and could only pretend that they didn't hear or see anything. Xiao Fan said with a smile, in the entire Zhuangsuan continent, apart from the secluded Piao Miao Fantasy Palace, the Dancing Palace is the most respected. After thousands of years, it is normal to have such accumulation. Lu Shengwang nodded and said, what Mr. Zhao said is right. For thousands of years, the Dancing Palace has always been in a high position, and almost all the top masters of the Zhuangsuan continent have gathered here. It is not surprising that some precious natural treasures can be collected. When it comes to natural treasures, even my Danfa forest can only surpass it in quantity. As they were talking, the group had already arrived in front of the door of the largest hut in the middle. This hut covers an area of about 5 or 6 feet in radius. The age of the Xuanling wood and Qingjing bamboo and various spiritual flowers and herbs around it is obviously quite old. At first glance, it is the most central location of the Dancing Palace. Dear guests, please come in. At this time, a gentle and calm voice came from the hut, and as this voice sounded, the door of the hut suddenly opened silently. Hearing that voice, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly, and without any polite words, he walked directly into the hut. Mike Zuyan, Lu Shengwang, and Jun Moxie followed closely behind him and entered the hut. As for Cheng Yingxiao and Ku Wuyi, they walked at the back. As soon as Xiao Fan stepped into the hut, the familiar sign and reminder sound of the system sounded again in his mind. Chapter 335 New Reward, Guhan's Horror. Ding. Sign in successful. Congratulations to the host. Obtained a Tongshan pill. Note, after taking it, it can greatly improve your cultivation. A pill that improves your cultivation. Not bad. Hearing the content of the system reward, Xiao Fan couldn't help but feel a little happy. Of all the rewards from the system, he likes the type that improves your cultivation the most. After all, the higher the cultivation, the slower the improvement. Under normal circumstances, with his current realm, if he relies entirely on his own practice to break through, it would be fast to break through a small realm in a few decades. Although Xiao Fan has a heaven-defying comprehension, comprehension only has a bonus effect on the comprehension of the skills, or the comprehension of the laws, the Great Way, etc., but it has no amplification effect on the accumulation of his own skills. Now this Tongshan pill can at least allow him to improve a small realm, right? That also saves decades of time. At this moment, on the main seat opposite the door of the thatched cottage, sat a figure that seemed a little illusory. The owner of the figure seemed to be only a middle-aged man in his 30s, but in fact he was already a monster over 1,000 years old. This person is undoubtedly Guhan, the palace master of Dancing Palace. His cultivation has reached the peak of the 4th level of Saint Lord, and he is only one step away from entering the semi-saint realm. When Xiao Fan and his companions just entered the hut, Guhan silently looked at each of them. After a while, Guhan's eyes flashed with surprise. Among these 4 people, there are actually 2 people that he can't see through. Moreover, those 2 are still very young. They are truly young, not just like him, who looks young. Guhan said solemnly, "Who are you 2? Although Guhan did not name them, everyone present knew that he was asking about Xiao Fan and Jun Moxie. Jun Moxie raised his eyebrows, rolled his eyes, and did not answer. Xiao Fan said lightly, "You don't have to think too much. We are not reincarnated people like you. If that's the case, you are really a young hero." Guhan sighed faintly, not knowing whether he believed Xiao Fan's words. Xiao Fan didn't want to pay attention to Guhan's thoughts. In the hut, there was silence again. After a while of silence, Guhan calmed down again, looked at Xiao Fan and asked, "You all came here specially for me. What advice do you have?" Xiao Fan shrugged slightly. "You think too much. Although we are looking for you, we are not here specifically for you." This sounded a bit contradictory, but Guhan understood. Guhan said with a smile, "Then I wonder if this young master, can you tell me what your purpose is?" Xiao Fan said, "Let this young master Jun beside me tell you. I just accompany them to visit Danshan Mountain and give them some safety guarantees." Guhan looked at Junmo after hearing this. "In that case, please speak frankly, young master Jun." Junmo's eyes flashed, and he said lightly, "You are the master of Danshan Palace. You should also be the highest person in charge of Danshan Palace, right?" Guhan nodded slightly. "You can say that," Junmo said. "I heard that the three major holy places are the forces affiliated with Danshan Palace. The main purpose of our visit this time is because of the three major holy places. The people of the three major holy places, under the guise of fighting for the sky and for the people of the world, have committed robbery in Xiaoxiao continent. I don't know how many forces have been annexed by them, and then their cultivation resources have been robbed." "Do you know all this?" Guhan said calmly. "Danshan Palace is isolated from the world and has never interfered in the affairs of the three major holy places. However, what you said is not just one-sided." Jun Moxie said, "If the palace master does not believe it, you can call the masters of the three holy places and I will confront them face to face. Let's not talk about other forces. I, Jun Moxie and the Jun family behind me, have been bullied a lot by the three holy places." Guhan smiled when he heard it. "You can't deal with the people of the three holy places, so you come to me to complain about the three holy places?" Jun Moxie sneered. "In my eyes, Jun Moxie, the three holy places are nothing. Maybe others are afraid of them, but I am not. The reason why I came to you is because I was moved by the public-spirited thoughts of the contemporary beast King Maizans, who was punished by heaven. I don't want to continue the internal fighting and lose the power of the battle to seize the sky. Moreover, I came here just to inform you that if you are unwilling to restrain the three holy places, then I will do whatever it takes to completely destroy the three holy places in the future. As for the failure of the battle to seize the sky, it can't be my fault." Guhan said, "With the current strength of Master Jun, I am afraid that he is unable to destroy the three holy places." Jun Moxie nodded and said, "You are right. I cannot easily destroy the three holy places now, but I am still young. I have only practiced for a few years and have already reached the sane temporal realm. In 10 years at most, I am confident that I can definitely surpass everyone in the three holy places. What's more, there seem to be quite a few people below the sane temporal realm in the three holy places, right? I can hide in the dark and kill them one by one." As he spoke, a murderous aura like a raging sea surged out of Jun Moxie's body. This murderous aura may not be very strong for Guhan, but it feels extremely sharp. This sharp murderous aura has an extreme and unparalleled strength that can resolutely advance even in the face of the gods and Buddhas of the heavens. Between the two of them, a spiritual battle was carried out. Despite the blessing of Hongjun Tower, Jun Moxie also felt a lot of pressure, and sweat dripped from his forehead. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and a soul power was released, easily blocking the confrontation between the two, and said lightly, "If you want to talk, then talk. If you want to fight, then do it directly. There is no need to be so secretive." Guhan's mental power was easily blocked by Xiao Fan, and his heart was shocked. A look of horror flashed in his eyes, and he said in a deep voice, "Your Excellency has such a strong mental power." Xiao Fan said lightly, "How the three holy places act in the Xiaoxiao continent has nothing to do with me, but they are targeting the Tanfa forest, their ally in the war to seize the sky, and I can't stand it. Of course, it's mainly because Miss Mai is my friend." Mai Xuyan was deeply moved when she heard Xiao Fan's words. Xiao Fan continued, "This young master said that it might take several years to destroy the three holy places, but the three holy places are no different from ants in front of me, as long as I am willing. It will take less than a day, or even less than an hour, to completely destroy the three holy places. Do you believe it? Guhan looked solemn, and said in a deep voice, "Of course I believe in your strength. However, after all, the three holy places have contributed to the battle for the sky for many years. Even if they have no merits for the Xiaoxiao continent, they have worked hard. I hope you will show mercy." Xiao Fan waved his hand. "Okay, you old guys just talk too much nonsense. I just want to ask you, will the termites in these three holy places be cleaned up by your Tenching Palace, or will I do it myself?" Chapter 336. The Peak of Doubt. Guhan heard this and said hurriedly, "Please be patient, sir. I will ask someone to call the masters of the escape to the Immortal Palace, the Dreamy Sea of Learning and the Supreme Golden City to inquire. Please rest in the Tenching Palace." Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Okay, then we will wait in the Tenching Palace." Guhan said, "Xiaoxiao, you take the guests around the Tenching Palace and arrange accommodation for them. Kuwui, you immediately arrange people to go to the three holy places to summon Mo Wudao, Huayanobo and Ziruoshan to come to the Tenching Palace as soon as possible." "Yes, Palace Master." Xiaoxiao and Kuwui bowed and responded respectfully. Guhan then said to Xiao Fan and Jun Moxie, "You can follow Xiaoxiao to walk around the Tenching Palace first. The scenery on Tenching Mountain is still worth seeing." Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Then I will wait for the news from Palace Master Gu." After saying that, Xiao Fan immediately stepped out of the hut. Jun Moxie also followed Xiao Fan in a swagger. Lu Shengwang and Mai Xuyan bowed slightly to Guhan, and then followed him out. The group walked out of the hut and visited the scenery on Tenching Mountain under the guidance of Xiaoxiao. Jun Moxie suddenly laughed strangely and said, "I didn't expect that the Palace Master of Tenching Palace is also a walnut." Mai Xuyan asked puzzledly, "What do you mean?" Jun Moxie said, "Ripe walnuts also need to be smashed before eating." Xiaoxiao's face looked a little ugly when he heard Jun Moxie's words. "Mr. Jun, please respect the Palace Master." If it weren't for the Palace Master in charge over the years, Xiaoxiao continent would have been occupied by foreigners long ago. Jun Moxie smiled. Okay, respect." Xiao Fan watched all this silently and didn't say anything. Xiao Fan and a few others strolled around Tenching Mountain casually, but they didn't find it interesting, so he said to Xiaoxiao, "Arrange a quiet room for me. I suddenly had some enlightenment and I'm going to practice." "Yes, Master Xiao." Xiaoxiao immediately responded respectfully when he heard Xiao Fan's words. After following them for a while, Xiaoxiao also knew Xiao Fan's last name. A strong person is respected no matter where he is. Xiaoxiao's attitude towards Xiao Fan was many times better than his attitude towards Jun Moi. Jun Moxie was surprised and said, "Mr. Xiao, you are already a powerful saint, why are you still practicing so hard?" Xiao Fan smiled faintly. "I have said before that the so-called saint realm is not the strongest. When you reach the saint realm, you will know that the saint realm is nothing. Moreover, I just happened to break through a small realm, so I am going to practice a little." Jun Moxie was full of admiration when he heard this. "Mr. Xiao, from today on, you are my target to catch up with." Xiaoxiao said faintly, "If you want to catch up with Mr. Xiao, I'm afraid you are still a little behind." Jun Moxie snorted. "How do you know what the future will be like?" Mai Xuyan said, "Mr. Xiao, since you have broken through the realm, do you need to go back to the Heavenly Punishment Forest to make another breakthrough?" Although Mai Xuyan had the overall situation in mind, she did not forget to be wary of the three major holy places. Tenching Palace is the backer of the three major holy places, and Xiao Fan had threatened the Palace Master of Tenching Palace before. She was worried that the people of Tenching Palace would do something small when Xiao Fan was practicing. Xiaoxiao understood the meaning of Mai Xuyan's words and said solemnly, "Miss Mai, don't worry, our Tenching Palace is not so mean. The Palace Master and all of you fellows hope that humans can become stronger, so that we can be more confident in the upcoming battle to seize the sky." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Xiaoxiao said respectfully, "Young Master Xiao, please follow me." Mai Xuyan was still a little worried. "Let's go together. When the time comes, We will be outside to protect young Master Xiao. Jun Moxie nodded and said, "That's right." Lu Shengwang naturally had no objection to this. Seeing this, Cheng Yingxiao did not dissuade them anymore. He immediately led the way for the few people to a more secluded hut. The owner of this hut died in the battle of seizing the sky 500 years ago. No one has lived here for a long time. Besides, the surrounding area is relatively secluded. Young Master Xiao can retreat here. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Thank you. Actually, this is not really a retreat. You wait outside. It will be over soon." "Okay." Several people agreed and left the room. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. He was bored and wanted to try out whether taking pills in other worlds to break through was different from that in Qi continent, so he planned to take Tongshan pill directly. As for retreat, it really can't be considered as retreat. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan took out the Tongshan pill that he got as a sign in reward in Tongshan Palace from the system space and swallowed it in one gulp. The pill melted in his mouth and soon turned into a huge energy. Xiao Fan started to use the Thunder Emperor art and continued to absorb and refine the energy. As Xiao Fan refined it, his aura gradually increased. 8-star Dowdy late stage, 8-star Dowdy peak, 9-star Dowdy early stage. It was not until Xiao Fan's cultivation reached the peak of the 9-starred Emperor that he was able to completely refine the pure medicinal power. At the same time, outside the thatched cottage, Cheng Yingxiao, Jun Moxie, Lu Shengwang and Mai Xuyan all sensed the rising powerful aura in the cottage. Young Master Xiao's strength has become even more terrifying. Jun Moxie looked in the direction of the cottage and couldn't help but sigh. Cheng Yingxiao said in a deep voice, "With young Master Xiao's current cultivation strength, I'm afraid even the 14th young master of Jiuyu is far inferior to him. If young Master Xiao is willing to participate in the battle of seizing the heaven, those disgusting aliens will definitely have no hope of winning." Lu Shengwang said, "Young Master Xiao has said before that when the battle of seizing the heaven begins, he will also participate." Cheng Yingxiao was immediately excited when he heard it. "That's great." Jun Moxie rolled his eyes and said unhappily, "Why are you so happy? Don't forget, we came to the Tanshan Palace this time to cause trouble for the 3 major holy places. When the people from the 3 major holy places come, if they can't give us a satisfactory explanation, then we and the Tanshan Palace will be in opposition, and young Master Xiao will be even more powerful. You should be trembling." Cheng Yingxiao said lightly, "If the people from the 3 major holy places really have problems, the palace master will definitely deal with them impartially, and the situation you said will not happen." Jun Moxie smiled and said, "I hope so." At the same time, all the bigwigs in Tanshan Palace, including Gu Han, also sensed the surge in Xiao Fan's cultivation aura, and were shocked and solemn. "I really don't know how strong this Mr. Xiao is." A bigwig in Tanshan Palace couldn't help but sigh. Gu Han smiled and said, "Mr. Xiao is very powerful, which is a good thing for Xiaoxiao continent. This time in the battle to seize the sky, the aliens should be hurt. Wait until Mo Wudao and the others come. No matter what they did, let them give Mr. Xiao an explanation." Chapter 337 The Shameless Trio and the Furious Mai Xuyan. In the thatched cottage, Xiao Fan sensed that the medicinal power of Tongshan pill had been refined by him, and his cultivation level had stopped increasing, so he slowly stopped practicing. 9-star Dowdy peak. Very good. After sensing his current cultivation level, Xiao Fan felt quite satisfied. 9-star Dowdy peak in his early 20s was decades earlier than Xiao Yan in the original novel. With such efficiency, Xiao Fan was naturally very satisfied. With a whisper, Xiao Fan stood up and stepped out of the cottage. "Congratulations, Mr. Xiao, for your further improvement in strength." As soon as Xiao Fan left the cottage, Jun Moxie outside the cottage immediately stepped forward and congratulated Xiao Fan. Then, Mai Xuyan, Lu Shengwang and Cheng Yingxiao also congratulated Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "It's just a small improvement, not worth mentioning." Next, Xiao Fan and Mai Xuyan stayed in Tanshan Palace for another 2 days. On the 3rd day, the masters of the 3 holy places, Mo Wudao, Huayanobo and Ziruoshan, finally arrived at Tanshan Palace. Seeing Mai Xuyan and Jun Moxie, Mo Wudao and the other 2 changed their expressions slightly. The 3 holy places have been targeting the Heaven Punishment Forest for many years. and in recent years they have begun to target Jun Moxie and the Jun family. Unfortunately, they didn't get much advantage whether targeting the Heaven Punishment Forest or the Jun family. Now seeing Zhu Yuanzhang and Jun Moxie in the Tensheng Palace, and they are treated as guests of honor by the Tensheng Palace, Mo Wudao and the other two have a bad feeling in their hearts. Guhan looked at the changing expressions of Mo Wudao and the other two, and seemed to easily see through all their thoughts. Guhan said calmly, "You three, do you have anything to say?" Hearing Guhan's words, Mo Wudao and the other two looked at each other. After a long while, Mo Wudao said respectfully, "Disciple, I don't know if the palace master has summoned me for any instructions." Guhan shook his head slightly. "I heard that the three holy places have done a lot of dirty things in the Xuanxun continent in recent years under the banner of doing things for the common people. Is that true?" Mo Wudao's heart skipped a beat when he heard this, and he quickly said, "Lord Palace Master, this must be a slander against my three holy places." Huai Naobo followed up, "Yes, my three holy places have hardly ever interfered in the affairs of the continent. Everything has developed naturally. Only every once in a while, we will come forward to recruit some new supreme masters." Zhu Yuanzhang bowed and said, "Palace Master, please be wise. Everything our three holy places have done is for the battle to seize the sky and for the safety of all people in the world. This may have harmed the interests of some people, but for the sake of the overall situation, it is really impossible to do it perfectly. Please forgive me, Lord Palace Master." Junmo looked at the hypocritical appearance of the three people and suddenly became angry. "Fuck you. For the sake of the people of the world, for the sake of the people of the world, can you deal with my Jun family at will? Since you said it is for the sake of the people of the world, my Jun family is also a member of the people of the world. Why are you targeting us everywhere?" Mo Wudao said leisurely, "For the sake of the overall situation, sacrificing personal interests is inevitable." Junmo said, "In this case, why don't you sacrifice? Don't you want my elixir? As long as the three of you commit suicide on the spot, I will provide 300 copies of the three major holy places for free, which is enough to cultivate elixir resources for the realm of the Venerable." Zhu Yuanzhang said, "Since Mr. Jun has this ability, he is unwilling to help generously." "I don't know what is in your mind?" Huai Naobo nodded and said, "Yes, if the three of us were alone, what would we fear of death? But we each control one of the three major holy places. If we don't cherish our own lives, we are irresponsible to the three major holy places. How can we easily promise such a ridiculous condition?" Jun Moxie was so angry when he saw the shameless appearance of the three people that he jumped up and down. "You three bastards are so shameless." Xiao Fan waved his hand slightly to stop Jun Moxie, and said lightly, "What's the point of arguing with them? Let's see what Palace Master Guhan thinks." Mo Wudao, Huai Naobo and Zhu Yuanzhang were slightly shocked when they heard what Xiao Fan said. Only then did they take Xiao Fan seriously. He dared to call the Palace Master of Tensheng Palace by his name in Tensheng Palace, and no one in Tensheng Palace objected. It can be seen that the person who spoke was extraordinary. Mo Wudao's eyes flashed, and he bowed to Xiao Fan and said, "I wonder what this young master's name is?" Xiao Fan ignored him directly, looked at Guhan, and said lightly, "Palace Master Gu, what do you say?" Seeing this, Mo Wudao's eyes flashed, and he couldn't help but feel resentful towards Xiao Fan in his heart, but he didn't show it on the surface. Alas, Guhan sighed, and then said, "Mr. Xiao, it's up to you how you want to deal with the three of them." Hearing Guhan's words, Mo Wudao, Huai Naobo and Zhu Yuanzhang's faces suddenly changed. They never thought that Xiao Fan could actually control their life and death. "Who is this person?" Huai Naobo said loudly, "Palace Master, we don't accept it. The three of us are the masters of the three holy places. Over the years, even if we have no merits, we have worked hard. How can we just hand it over to outsiders for disposal?" Zhu Yuanzhang also said, "Yes, even if we violated any rules, it should be the seniors of Tensheng Palace who should interrogate and investigate." Mo Wudao knelt on the ground with a normal sound. "Palace Master, we would rather die in your hands than be humiliated by outsiders." Looking at the performance of the three people, Guhan had a blank expression on his face and had no intention of responding at all. Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "You still think you are smart, But you still don't understand. All your performances are just jokes. Now it's useless for you to say anything. Only I can decide your fate. Huayanobo said. Who are you? Why do you want to make things difficult for our three holy places? Xiao Fan smiled slightly. Because you provoked the Tanfa forest. Unfortunately, Miss Mai of Tanfa and I are friends. Zhu Yuanzhang sighed and said, Sir, you are confused. Although Miss Mai looks as beautiful as a fairy, I don't know how ugly she is. Don't be fooled by her. Hearing this, Mai Xuyan's face suddenly turned cold, and she said coldly, Zhu Yuanzhang, you are looking for death. Boom. When the voice fell, Mai Xuyan slapped out with a palm, a terrifying palm force, overwhelming and pressing towards Zhu Yuanzhang. Although Zhu Yuanzhang is the lord of the supreme golden city, his cultivation is only at the level of the venerable. How can he be the opponent of Mai Xuyan, who has the cultivation of the holy emperor? How can you be so strong? Zhu Yuanzhang cried out in surprise. Before he could react, he was beaten into a pulp by the terrifying palm power. Hiss. Seeing this, Mo Wudao and Huayanobo on the side could not help but take a breath of cold air. Their cultivation strength was on par with Zhu Yuanzhang's. Zhu Yuanzhang could not survive a single move from Mai Xuyan, and their ending would not be much better. Palace Master, can you bear to watch us being slaughtered by the mysterious beast like this? Mo Wudao had no choice but to put his hope on Guhan again and kneeled down and screamed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 ends. Mai Xuyan's worries. Guhan's eyelids twitched, and he said calmly, I have already given you a chance. Since you're unwilling to believe me, I don't need to interfere in your affairs. Jun Moxie said at this time. Mo Wudao, Huayanobo, this time I will give you a chance. You two join forces. As long as you can defeat me, I will give you a way to live. Huayanobo suddenly raised his head and said in a deep voice, Does what you said count? While speaking, Huayanobo looked in the direction of Xiao Fan and Mai Xuyan. Xiao Fan said indifferently, Just do as the third young master Jun said. Brother Mo, it seems that we have to fight side by side again. Huayanobo nodded and said to Mo Wudao beside him. Mo Wudao also calmed down and turned to face the direction of Jun Moxie. Jun Moxie waved to the two of them. You guys attack. Huayanobo and Mo Wudao looked at each other, and then attacked Jun Moxie at the same time. Unfortunately, their strength was far inferior to Jun Mo's, and they soon set foot on the road to the underworld. Jun Mo wiped his hands and said lightly, On the road to the underworld, with the three of you as company, it won't be lonely. Guhan's eyelids twitched, and he suppressed his emotions and said calmly, What do you think about the other people in the three major holy places? Master Xiao, Master Jun, and Miss Mai. Xiao Fan said lightly, It is best for the Dancing Palace to take the initiative to clean up some termites in the three major holy places. In addition, haven't you always been under the banner of the battle for the heavenly seizure? Before the battle for the heavenly seizure, the three major holy places were all self-sealed. Anyone who went out would be killed without mercy. After the battle for the heavenly seizure, if the three major holy places want to fight the Jun family and the heavenly punishment forest, let them go. But the premise is that no one from the Dancing Palace can take action. Mai Xuyan said lightly, Master Xiao's meaning is my meaning. Jun Mo said, I have no objection either. Guhan was slightly relieved when he heard this, and nodded. I will have people restrain the three major holy places. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. In this case, the purpose of our trip has been achieved, so I'll take my leave now. Guhan said, Everyone, take care. We'll meet again during the battle to seize the sky. Xiao Fan nodded in response, and then turned around and left. Mai Xuyan, Lu Shengwang, and Jun Moxie also followed Xiao Fan and went down Danshan Mountain together. After leaving Danshan Mountain, Jun Mo said to Xiao Fan, Mr. Xiao, thank you so much for this time. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I would never come back from this trip to Danshan Palace. Xiao Fan chuckled and said, You're welcome. After the battle of heaven is over, Everything will depend on you. These few years will be used to buy you time. Junmo said, I understand. Besides, we have eliminated the big threat of Danqing Palace. As for the 3 holy places, I believe we can easily crush them in a few years. Haha, of course I believe in your ability. Xiao Fan chuckled, and continued, now that the matter has been resolved, let's say goodbye and see you again if we are lucky. Junmo saluted to Xiao Fan and Mai Xuyan, and said politely, Mr. Xiao, Miss Mai, Senior Lu, I'm taking my leave. After that, Junmo quickly left into the distance. After watching Junmo's leave, Xiao Fan looked at Mai Xuyan and Lu Shenghuang. Let's go. Let's return to the Tanfa forest. Mai Xuyan hesitated for a moment, nodded slightly, and said nothing. This time, with the accurate coordinates, Xiao Fan directly tore the space, and in an instant he took Mai Xuyan and Lu Shenghuang back to the depths of the Tanfa forest. Mr. Xiao, elder sister, Lu Shenghuang, you are back. Seeing Xiao Fan and the other 2 return, Dong Keishan, Xiaoxiao and other beast kings immediately greeted them with joy. After learning about what happened in Danqing Palace, the beast kings immediately admired Xiao Fan even more. A grand celebration banquet was held directly. However, Lu Shenghuang left first and went to join his old brothers. At the banquet, Mai Xuyan was always in a low mood and taciturn. After the banquet, Mai Xuyan calmed down and finally made up her mind to find Xiao Fan. Mr. Xiao, I want to talk to you alone. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. No problem. Mai Xuyan said, Mr. Xiao, follow me. After that, Mai Xuyan left the banquet first. The other beast kings looked at each other in bewilderment when they saw this scene. Dong Keishan said, what do you think the eldest sister wants to talk about when she meets Mr. Xiao alone? The Monkey King Hu Qi rolled his eyes and said with a smile, what else can it be? Of course it's about the relationship between men and women. The Tiger King Hu Liedi nodded in agreement and said, I think so too. If you ask me, Mr. Xiao and the eldest sister are really a perfect match. Moreover, since Mr. Xiao came, the eldest sister has become much gentler. The Snake King Qianxun listened to the words of the Beast Kings and said coldly, shut up. How dare you discuss the right and wrong of the eldest sister and Mr. Xiao here? Are you itching for trouble again recently? Hu Qi and Hu Liedi saw Qianxun was angry and worried that she would tell Mai Xuyan about it, so they quickly shut up. Dong Keishan was not afraid. Qianxun, what's the point of this? This is a happy event. Why are you unhappy? Qianxun retorted, what does this have to do with whether I am happy or not? I just can't stand you talking about my elder sister and Mr. Xiao behind their backs. Xiaoxiao echoed, it's not good to talk about them behind their backs. Okay, let's drink. My elder sister will take care of her affairs. Under Xiaoxiao's persuasion, the Beast Kings immediately changed the topic and continued to drink. On the other side, Xiao Fan and Mai Xuyan left the place where the Beast Kings gathered and came to a secluded room. That was where Xiao Fan met Mai Xuyan for the first time, and it was also the stone room where Mai Xuyan practiced in seclusion. Xiao Fan looked at Mai Xuyan, who had been silent all the way, and smiled. What's wrong? Didn't you say you had something to talk to me about? Why are you silent all the time? Mai Xuyan was silent for a long time, raised her head and stared into Xiao Fan's eyes, and asked in a deep voice, do you dislike my origin as a mysterious beast? After hearing Zhu Yuanzhang's words, Xiao Fan saw Mai Xuyan's subsequent series of reactions, and he already knew what she was thinking, but he deliberately didn't point it out. At this moment, hearing Mai Xuyan's words, Xiao Fan smiled. Do you think I will dislike your origin as a mysterious beast? If I dislike it, I would not have made friends with you in the first place. You should know that before I came to your world, I already knew many things in this world, and I knew your origin very well. You don't have to take the words of Zhu Yuanzhang, that despicable villain, to heart. Mai Xuyan felt relieved when she heard Xiao Fan's words, but she was still a little worried and said, are you telling the truth? Xiao Fan smiled and said, of course it is true, otherwise I will prove it to you. Mai Xuyan asked puzzledly, how are you going to prove it to me? Chapter 339, Ziyan's Shortcut to Shangdan City. Xiao Fan smiled and said, you can change your true form and see if I will be scared by you or dislike you. Mai Xuyan heard what Xiao Fan said and said unhappily, What kind of proof is this? It's just making me look bad. Xiao Fan looked at Mike Zuyan and said seriously, don't think that changing your true form is embarrassing. I really don't mean to dislike your true form. I know that your true form is a snow god mink. You don't have to have any psychological burden because of a word from an irrelevant person. What's more, after you turn into a human, you are no different from humans. Mike Zuyan was a little moved and said, thank you for not disliking me. After putting aside her worries, Mike Zuyan looked much more relaxed and took Xiao Fan to stroll around the Tanfa forest. Next, Xiao Fan stayed with Mike Zuyan in the Tanfa forest for a while. Once the two of them were in love, they had a super friendly exchange. After that exchange, Mike Zuyan was more relaxed. The Beast Kings were also grateful to Xiao Fan, because under the influence of Xiao Fan, Mike Zuyan's attitude towards them was many times gentler than before. After staying in the world of the evil lord of the other world for another month, Xiao Fan said goodbye to Mike Zuyan and returned to the Dqi world through the Wanji chat group. Xiao Fan's cultivation has now reached the peak of the Daodi, and it can be said that he has reached the top in the Dqi world. Xiao Fan also plans to arrange the affairs of the Dqi world, and then wander around in other worlds. Xiao Fan's first goal is to train Xiao Yan to become a Daodi. With Xiao Yan's conditions, if he wants to become a Daodi, he only needs to refine a few more strange fires and then increase some soul energy. And these, Xiao Fan just knows how to help him. In addition to Xiao Yan, Xiao Fan is also going to rescue the Blood Axe Xiao Chen and revive the half-emperor Zhuan. At that time, in addition to Xiao Fan, the Xiao family can still become the first family in the Daodi continent. Xiao Fan has been reborn in the Xiao family for 20 years, and has integrated himself into the Xiao family. He also hopes that his family can regain its glory and even surpass the ancient times. With a decision in mind, Xiao Fan immediately went to Xiao Yan. Xiao Fan's first goal was to go to Danta and let Xiao Yan refine the 3000 flames in Danta. Anyway, no one in Danta could refine it. Moreover, the 3000 flames seemed to be gradually out of control. When Xiao Yan heard Xiao Fan asking him to go to Danta to refine the 3000 flames, he couldn't help but be surprised. Third brother, Danta won't hand over the 3000 flames easily, right? Are we going to snatch it directly? Xiao Fan smiled lightly and said, don't worry, they will agree. Moreover, as far as I know, your teacher has a good relationship with Zhuan Yi, one of the 3 giants of Danta. With him mediating, there will be no problem. Ahem. Yao Chen was also next to Xiao Yan at this time. Hearing this, he couldn't help but coughed, looking a little embarrassed. Seeing this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but laugh and said, teacher, it seems that what my third brother said is true. Are you really having an affair with Zhuan Yi, one of the 3 giants of Danta? You little brat, you have no respect for your elders. Yao Chen heard, and stretched out his hand to pat Xiao Yan on the head, puffing his beard and glaring. There is nothing wrong between Zhuan Yi and me. Xiao Fan smiled and said, I understand. It's a pure and innocent relationship between a man and a woman. He. I understand too. Xiao Yan winked and laughed strangely when he heard Xiao Fan's words. Yao Chen looked at the two of them and felt helpless. You two guys, I'm really being controlled by you. Well, I did have a relationship with Zhuan Yi, but now I don't know if Zhuan Yi still remembers me, a person who died once. Besides, even if Zhuan Yi hasn't forgotten me, she may not agree to take out the 3000 flames from Dan Tower for Xiao Yan to refine. Xiao Fan smiled mysteriously. It's too early to say that. We'll know when we get to Dan Tower. After many things, Xiao Yan trusted Xiao Fan very much and advised Yao Chen, teacher, my third brother won't do anything without a purpose. Whether it works or not, let's go to Dan Tower and try it first. Yao Chen nodded and said, okay, then I'll accompany you to Dan Tower. After the 3 of them had decided on the plan, Yao Chen went to find Feng Zunzun, explained it to him, and then went to Shengdan City with Xiao Fan and Xiao Yan. Of course, Ziyan and King Lin also followed them, with Yao Chen leading the way. The group didn't worry about not finding the direction. Half a month later, the group arrived at Shengdan City. Wait for me, I'll go and see if I can contact Zhuan Yi. After arriving at Shengdan City, Yao Chen asked Xiao Yan to find a hotel to stay in, told the others, and then went to find the base of Danta. Ziyan now knew the purpose of Xiao Fan bringing Xiao Yan to Shengdan City, and said with some envy, "It seems that Xiao Yan will soon become a D-strong man. When can I become a D?" Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Don't worry, you should refine and absorb all those dragon phoenix pills first, and break through to the Cheng realm first." Zhi Yan's eyes turned, and she looked at Xiao Yan and said, "Yanzi, if I also practice your burning art, can I become a D soon?" Xiao Yan heard a bitter smile. "Senior Zhi Yan, the reason why I have improved so quickly is that the burning art is only one of the reasons. The main reason is the help given to me by my third brother, especially after my third brother broke through to the D. Under the influence of the power of blood, my cultivation level directly soared to the 5-star Sheng. This cannot be copied." Zhi Yan muttered, "Alas, why don't I have a D brother or sister?" Xiao Yan shrugged, indicating that he could not help. At this time, Xiao Fan thought of Zhi Yan's father, the Dragon Emperor Zhu Kun of the Taixu ancient dragon clan. After a brief pause, Xiao Fan slowly said, "If you want to take a shortcut, it's not that you don't have a chance." Zhi Yan's eyes lit up when she heard this. "Brother Xiao Fan, what chance? Are you going to turn me into the same bloodline as you?" Xiao Fan stretched out his hand and flicked Zhi Yan's forehead, and said unhappily, "What nonsense are you thinking about? Didn't I tell you before that your father is now trapped in Tush ancient emperor cave mansion?" When Zhi Yan heard what Xiao Fan said, she immediately clapped her hands in joy. "Yes, how could I forget? No, I have to find my irresponsible father and let him practice hard and break through to the emperor as soon as possible. In this way, I can ascend to heaven in one step like Yanzi." I wonder what expression Zhu Kun would have if he heard what Zhi Yan said. Is it him, Zhu Kun, who doesn't want to break through to the emperor? The key is that he, Zhu Kun, does not have the ability to break through to the emperor. Chapter 340, Meeting an Old Friend. Zhuan Yi was shocked. Xiao Fan shook his head and said, "No hurry, wait until Yanzi's problem is solved first. Yanzi needs a lot of time to refine the strange fire. During the process of refining the strange fire, he can go to your irresponsible father to help him break through the D." Zhi Yan heard this and excitedly hugged Xiao Fan's arm, saying in a tender voice, "Brother Xiao Fan, you are the best." On the other side, after Yao Chen found the base of Danta, he quickly passed through the base of Danta and met Zhuan Yi, one of the 3 giants of Danta. After many years, seeing Yao Chen again, Zhuan Yi was immediately excited. "Yao Chen, where have you been all these years?" Zhuan Yi didn't know that Yao Chen had been killed by Han Feng, and thought that Yao Chen was still wandering around the continent and avoiding her. Yao Chen said, "I didn't hide from you all these years, but because I was blind, I was killed by the evil disciple and only a trace of residual soul was left." Yao Chen had a bitter face and told Zhuan Yi about what happened in these years. When Zhuan Yi learned about Yao Chen's tragic experience, his face was immediately filled with murderous intent. "Where are Han Feng and that old man Mu Gu? Now that you have recovered, have you sought revenge on them?" Yao Chen was somewhat relieved and said, "This has to do with my new disciple Xiao Yan. Han Feng and Mu Gu, those 2 despicable guys, have now been killed by Xiao Yan and his third brother Xiao Fan. This is considered as revenge for me." When Zhuan Yi learned about this, he breathed a sigh of relief, and then said in a cold voice, "You are not blind this time, so why are you looking for me now?" Yao Chen hesitated for a moment, but still told him about the 3,000 flames. Zhuan Yi's face turned slightly cold when he heard that. "I knew that if you didn't need a favor from me, you would definitely not come to see me." Yao Chen hurriedly said, "How could that be? I was in a remnant soul state before, and I really couldn't come to see you." Zhuan Yi said, "Then you have recovered for so long, why did you come to me now? If it weren't for the matter of 3,000 Yi flames, you probably wouldn't come to see me." Yao Chen hurriedly said, "Even if there was no matter of 3,000 Yi flames, I was ready to come to see you. I have let you down all these years." Under Yao Chen's soft words, Zhuan Yi's attitude softened. After a long while, Zhuan Yi said calmly, "The matter of 3,000 Yi flames is of great importance, and I cannot make the decision." Yao Chen nodded and said, "Of course I know this. I just hope to meet with the top leaders of Danta through you, and then we can discuss it face to face. In addition, let me remind you of one thing. My disciple Xiao Yan is now a 6-starred Sheng. and his third brother Xiao Fan has become the only emperor in 10,000 years. Zhuan Yi was shocked when he heard Yao Chen's words. What did you say? 6-star Shang and emperor? How is this possible? You didn't deliberately lie to me in order to make me agree to the matter of 3,000 Yi flames? Yao Chen said solemnly. There is no falsehood in this matter. I just hope that the top leaders of Danta will not be too arrogant at that time, so as not to anger the emperor. That will definitely be a disaster for the entire Danta. Zhuan Yi said, I will go back and tell Zhuan Kongcai and others about this matter, and even report it to the Council of Elders. You wait in Shangdan City first, and I will inform you when I have the result. Yao Chen nodded and said, no problem. But don't delay too long. Yan's brother Xiao Fan has also come to Shangdan City. Although Xiao Fan is usually easy to talk to, if he is neglected, a strong man will still have some temper after all. Zhuan Yi's expression was slightly solemn when he heard this. I know. I will go back and report this matter, and I will give you a reply as soon as possible. The two chatted briefly for a few more sentences, and Zhuan Yi said goodbye and left. Before leaving, Yao Chen also told Zhuan Yi the restaurant where they were staying temporarily. What did the Dan Tower say? After Yao Chen came back, Xiao Fan asked directly. Although Xiao Fan didn't like to rob, he would be embarrassed if the Dan Tower didn't know what was good for him. Now he is already the strongest in the Qi continent. Even Chuash ancient emperor is not his opponent, so there is no need to worry about anything. Yao Chen said, I just met Zhuan Yi and told her about the 3,000 flames. Zhuan Yi said it was a serious matter and she needed to report it to the Elders Council of Danta and would give us a reply as soon as possible. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. Okay, then we'll wait in Shangdan City first. Others naturally had no objection to this. The people of Danta did not make Xiao Fan and his party wait too long. The next morning, Xiao Fan and his party were having breakfast, and Zhuan Yi personally came to the restaurant where Xiao Fan and his party were staying temporarily and found Yao Chen. Zhuan Yi, you're here. Yao Chen smiled when he saw Zhuan Yi coming, and quickly stood up to greet him. Yan and Ziyan looked like spectators, while Xiao Fan and King Lin sat quietly on the side without paying much attention. Zhuan Yi nodded slightly. I have reported what you told me yesterday. The Elders Council decided to meet Yan first and test him before making a decision. Who is Yan? Hearing that he was mentioned, Yan took the initiative to step forward and bowed to Zhuan Yi without waiting for Yao Chen to introduce himself. Yan greets Master's wife, Shu. Zhuan Yi's face suddenly changed when he heard Yan's address. He was a little uncomfortable for a while and didn't know how to say the words that came to his lips. After a while, Zhuan Yi frowned and said, Don't call me nonsense. I have nothing to do with your teacher. Despite this, Zhuan Yi felt a little closer to Yan in his heart, just like looking at his own child. Yao Chen hurriedly said, Ahem, this child heard some gossip from somewhere and called randomly. Don't take it to heart. You go away first. The second half of the sentence was naturally said to Yan. Zhuan Yi glared at Yao Chen when he heard it. Why are you so fierce to the child? Seeing this, Yao Chen touched his nose and had to keep silent. Ziyan couldn't help but snickering as she watched this scene. Even King Lin's mouth corners slightly raised. Zhuan Yi's eyes turned slightly at this time, and soon he saw Xiao Fan on the side, and said politely, This must be young Master Xiao Fan, right? Xiao Fan stood up and smiled. Elder Zhuan Yi, you are too polite. Since you are Yanzi's elder, just call me Xiao Fan. Zhuan Yi said, Let's not mention the title first. I guess you heard what I said just now. Do you have any opinions? Xiao Fan glanced at Yan and raised his eyebrows slightly. I wonder what kind of test Danta wants to conduct on Yanzi. What does it mean to pass the test? Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Yan, Yao Chen and Ziyan all looked at Zhuan Yi, waiting for Zhuan Yi's answer. Zhuan Yi pondered for a moment, and then slowly told the content of the test proposed by Danta to Yan. Chapter 341 Danta's Request. Zhuan Yi said dimly, Dan Tower was originally considering holding an alchemy conference in recent years, inviting all the alchemists in Qi continent to participate, and the final champion will have the opportunity to refine 3,000 Yan flames. Yao Chen's eyes flickered when he heard this. You mean, Dan Tower is holding an alchemy conference now? I don't know how much time it will take for the early publicity and preparations. Zhuan Yi shook his head slightly. I haven't finished what I said. The elders of Dan Tower mean that if Yan wants to refine 3,000 Yan flames, he must have the alchemy ability to win the Alchemy Conference Championship. This is also for Yan's consideration. If the alchemy level cannot be reached, refining 3,000 Yan flames may be very dangerous. Ziyan frowned her cute eyebrows and muttered, since there is no alchemy conference, how do we know if Yan can become the champion? Zhuan Yi said, what we mean is that Yan must have the alchemy ability to become the champion. Yao Chen said confidently, in the entire Qi continent, I believe that no one can rival Yan in terms of refining medicine. Just tell me the specific requirements of Danta. Zhuan Yi nodded slightly. You are confident. That's the best. The elders of Danta require Yan to refine an 8th grade pill in front of them. As long as Yan can successfully refine an 8th grade pill, he will be allowed to refine the 3,000 Yan fire. Xiao Fan looked at Yan on the side. Little Yanzi, how is it? Is there any problem? Yan's current cultivation has suddenly improved, and Xiao Fan is not sure whether he has reached the 8th grade in alchemy. If Yan can't do it, then Xiao Fan will have to forcibly seize the 3,000 Yan fire. Yan said confidently, don't worry, third brother, there will be no problem with the 8th grade elixir. Yao Chen said with some pride, little Yan is just too low-key, let alone an 8th grade elixir. Even if it is a 9th grade elixir, I think he can succeed. Zhuan Yi glared at Yao Chen. What, do you think that the requirements set by Dan Tower for Yan are too low? Do you want me to go back and tell them to raise the requirements for Yan? Upon hearing this, Yao Chen hurriedly said, no, don't. I'm just talking. Why do you have to take it seriously? When Zhuan Yi heard what Yao Chen said, he did not respond, and said to Yan, since you're sure, that's the best. I will go back and finalize the matter with the elders of Dan Tower. Yan said, thank you, Aunt Zhuan, but there is no need to rush. Aunt Zhuan, please stay and have breakfast with everyone. Zhuan Yi smiled gently. You are a thoughtful child, much better than some people, but I have already had breakfast. The sooner things are settled, the sooner I can feel at ease. I'll go to Dan Tower now. Thank you for troubling Aunt Zhuan. Seeing this, Yan no longer insisted and said politely to Zhuan Yi, and sent Zhuan Yi to the outside of the restaurant. After Zhuan Yi left, Yao Chen said to Yan, next, you should adjust your mental state. When you face the old guys in Danta, don't be stage frightened. You must show your true strength and let them see it. Yan nodded and said, teacher, don't worry, I will definitely not let you down. Yao Chen nodded slightly, and he was indeed very confident in Yan. The group waited in Shangdan City for another 2 days, and Zhuan Yi finally came again. Under the leadership of Zhuan Yi, the group went directly to the depths of Danta. The elders in the small Danta did not show up, and the 3 giants of Danta were still in charge. In addition to Zhuan Yi, the other 2 were Zhuan Kongcai and Tianlzi. After the 2 sides exchanged pleasantries for a while, Zhuan Kongcai returned to the topic. Zhuan Yi should have explained everything to you. As long as Yan can refine an 8th grade elixir, Dan Tower will allow him to try to refine the 3,000 Yan flames. However, if Yan is unable to refine an 8th grade elixir, I hope you will not continue to bother Dan Tower. Do you have any objections? Yan said solemnly, no problem. If I can't refine an 8th grade elixir, we will turn around and leave, and we will not continue to think about the 3,000 Yan flames. Seeing that Yan had agreed in advance, Xiao Fan's eyes flashed, and he nodded. Since Yanzi himself has no objection, I agree to. Let Yanzi start refining the elixir directly. Okay, please follow me. Zhuan Kongcai felt a little relieved when he heard what Yan and Xiao Fan said, and took Xiao Fan and others to the alchemy room of Dan Tower. After entering the alchemy room, Zhuan Kongcai asked, I wonder if Yan needs us to provide an alchemy furnace? Yan smiled and said, thank you for your kindness, Elder Zhuan Kongcai. I don't need an alchemy furnace. Zhuan Kongcai nodded slightly. Yan can check it out. If there is no problem with this alchemy room, then we can refine it here. We will be outside, waiting for your good news. Alchemy requires full dedication, especially for high-grade elixirs. Therefore, Zhuan Kongcai did not say that he would watch Xiao Yan refine the elixir in front of him. Xiao Yan released his soul power to sense it, and then nodded and said, "No problem." Zhuan Kongcai laughed, "That's good. We will go out first and wait for your good news outside." After a pause, Zhuan Kongcai turned around and looked at Xiao Fan and Yao Chen on the side. "Master Xiao Fan, medicine saint, and the two girls, let's go out first." Xiao Fan nodded slightly and left the alchemy room first. King Lin and Ziyan followed closely behind. Yao Chen gave Xiao Yan a few words of advice, and then followed him out. The alchemy room was not completely closed, and they could see Xiao Yan's alchemy process even if they were outside. Although they were not in the alchemy room, Zhuan Kongcai, Zhuan Yi and Yao Chen were quite concerned about the situation in the alchemy room. At this moment, in the alchemy room, Xiao Yan had a calm expression, and with a wave of his hand, the red 10,000 beast cauldron appeared in front of him. With a flick of his sleeves, a fire dragon with a unique color appeared, and finally drilled directly into the medicine cauldron. The blazing flames quickly made the cold medicine cauldron begin to heat up. When the temperature in the medicine cauldron gradually increased, Xiao Yan's palm swept across the void, and one by one, the medicinal herbs flew out of the ring, and finally floated around the stone platform. At a glance, there were at least 100 kinds. "What kind of flame is that? Why have I never seen such a special fire?" Zhuan Kongcai looked at the fire dragon that Xiao Yan cast, and his face suddenly showed surprise, and he couldn't help but exclaimed. Yao Chen smiled proudly. "This is not just one kind of strange fire." Zhuan Yi seemed to have thought of something. "You mean, Xiao Yan has mastered several different kinds of strange fire and fused them?" Yao Chen nodded slightly. "Yes, that's right." Zhuan Kongcai was shocked. He fused multiple kinds of strange fire at the same time, and he also wants to take over the 3,000 blazing flames. Isn't he afraid of playing with fire and getting burned? Chapter 342 Wang Teng's Dilemma. New members joined the group. Yao Chen said, "Since I dared to let Xiao Yan fuse multiple kinds of strange fire, I must have confidence." Zhuan Yi's eyes flashed slightly. "You passed the burning art to him?" Xiao Yan practiced the burning art, so he can contain multiple kinds of strange fire? Yao Chen said, "Yes, it is the burning art." Soon, after Yao Chen's explanation, Zhuan Kongcai also knew the existence of the burning art, and murmured, "No wonder you are so determined to get the 3,000 flames of fire." "So that's it." Looking at Xiao Yan's condition, there is no possibility of failure in refining the 8th grade elixir. Yao Chen reminded, "You proposed the conditions, and you can't regret it now." Zhuan Kongcai shook his head and said, "Don't worry, since we promised, we will definitely fulfill it." As he spoke, Zhuan Kongcai continued to look at the alchemy room. At this moment, Xiao Yan was constantly refining the essence of each medicinal material, and constantly adding new medicinal materials for refining. Zhuan Kongcai, Yao Chen and Zhuan Yi, the three genuine alchemists, watched Xiao Yan's alchemy with great interest, as if they were appreciating some beautiful scenery. Ziyan thought it was interesting at first, but soon she felt bored, so she took King Lin to stroll outside. She wanted Xiao Fan to go with her, but Xiao Fan refused. Xiao Fan was a little bored of strolling around Shengdan City these days. He was not like Ziyan, a girl with excess energy who was not tired of shopping every day. Xiao Fan also looked at Xiao Yan's alchemy for a while, and then he was bored, so he told Zhuan Yi, Zhuan Kongcai and Yao Chen, and found a practice room in the Dan Tower alone under the pretext of retreat. Xiao Fan remembered that in the original work, Xiao Yan spent several days to refine the 8th grade elixir. Although Xiao Yan is much stronger now, alchemy is a delicate job, and it is estimated that it will take a lot of time. He is not interested in sitting there. As for retreating to practice, it will not be effective in a few days. Therefore, Xiao Fan once again focused his attention on the Wanji chat group. He decided to find a world to travel around. Maybe he could trigger the sign-in, get new rewards, and improve his strength faster. Xiao Fan did it as he thought, and immersed his mind in the chat group. In the chat group, only some of the people were online. What surprised Xiao Fan was that Wang Teng, the arrogant guy, was also online this time. Seeing the content of the message in the group, Xiao Fan couldn't help but laugh. "Wang Teng, what do you think? Is there any way to just kill the son of luck? Xiaoxiao, what's wrong? Why did Master Wang suddenly change his mind? Huang Rong, I support Master Wang, go ahead, come on, applause. Yan Lingjai, hee. Is there a good show to watch? Smirk, Zilongnu, is the son of luck difficult to deal with? Puzzled, Wang Teng, that damn son of destiny, Yi Fan, is too evil. He accepted all the benefits I gave him, but he was still on guard against me everywhere. He didn't even consider me as a friend. It's too difficult to be friends with the son of destiny. Dongba, it's okay on my side. Nifeng listens to me now and has become my good son-in-law. As for Bu Jinyun, he indulges in Kong's gentleness every day and is about to have a third child. Dongba, moreover, Bu Jinyun's 2 children are very close to me. If Bu Jinyun wants to kill me, his children will make trouble first. Yubuku, the Zhonggang leader, is very clever. You admires him. Admire, Dongba. This is also thanks to the guidance of Master Zhao and Ms. Su. Now that Tang Xiaohui is about to unify the entire Shinzu, Xiaoxiao, the Zhonggang leader should not get too proud of himself. That Emperor Shiden, the future big boss and the big devil, and Lian Chengxi, etc., are not easy to deal with. Dongba, thank you Miss Su for reminding me. In addition to teasing Bu Jinyun's 2 dolls every day, I still practice seriously. It's a pity that I can't use points to improve my cultivation now. Otherwise it would be easier. Luo Feng, why do you all want to pit the son of luck? Shivering, Lin Lei, I seem to be a son of luck too? Scared, Wang Teng, what does the son of luck in other worlds have to do with me? My headache is just how to deal with the relationship with Yi Fan. At Xiaoxiao, does Ms. Su have any suggestions? Xiaoxiao, the son of luck usually has his own persistence and his intuition is very accurate. Yi Fan must have felt that you are trying to please him with an unknown purpose, so he kept his distance from you. Wang Teng, what purpose? Isn't my purpose to make friends with him and stand in the same camp? Lin Lei, I think, Brother Wang, maybe you can try to open your heart. You don't have to give any benefits, just make friends normally. Luo Feng, as the saying goes, if someone is too nice to you, he is either a traitor or a thief. I guess Yi Fan must be thinking in his heart, are you trying to plot against him by giving him so much benefit? Wang Teng, are you sons of destiny so complicated? Lin Lei, Luo Feng, Huang Rong, I think it is reasonable for Yi Fan to be on guard against you. Look at you, you want to kill others when you disagree with them. How can others not be on guard against you? Smirk, Yan Lingjai, hee. What Huang Rong said makes sense. Xiaoxiao, most sons of destiny will encounter many hardships and even betrayal on their way. It is reasonable for them to think more in their hearts. Xiaoxiao, I think that if Mr. Wang wants to make friends with Yi Fan, he should be more sincere and stop thinking about killing him. Yi Fan is not that easy to deal with. After reading the chat messages in the group for a while, Xiao Fan also sent a message casually. Xiao Fan, TSK. The group is quite lively today. Xiaoxiao, you are almost a life mentor. Yan Lingjai, at Xiao Fan, Brother Xiao Fan, you are online. Did you miss me? Shy, Huang Rong, at Xiao Fan, when will Brother Xiao Fan come to our world to play? Xiaoxiao, ahem, Master Xiao, you are too kind. I have seen a lot and just borrowed some ideas. Then, the other people in the group also greeted Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan, we are all friends, no need to be so polite. Then, Xiao Fan chatted with everyone in the group and played the group. When everyone was playing the group, the chat group suddenly sounded a reminder sound of a new member joining the group. Ding. Young Xiao joined the chat group. Ding. Li Fi joined the chat group. Young Xiao, Li Fi. Hearing the 2 names prompted by the system, Xiao Fan couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly, and felt a little suspicious. Li Fi, who kills and sets fires, and Han Tanzun, who saves the suffering. This sentence was very popular on the internet in the previous life. As for Young Xiao, Xiao Fan was even more shocked. Could it be the fair Young Xiao from the prehistoric world? Thinking in his mind, Xiao Fan directly used the group owner's authority to check the basic information of the 2 new members. The other group members naturally also received the prompt, and they were very enthusiastic when they saw new people joining the group. Chapter 343 Murder and Arson. Li Fi, Yan Lingjai. Oh, there are new people. We haven't had new people in the group for a long time. Welcome. Applause. Huang Rong. Welcome new people. Xiaoxiao. Welcome new people. New people can take a look at the group introduction first, and ask me if you have any questions. I can answer them for you. Yubuku. Welcome to new friends to the group. Wan Wan. Welcome new people. You can come to our world to play when you are free. Along at Xiaoxiao. Miss Su, do you know about the two new people? Why don't you tell us more about them? Luo Feng. Welcome new people. Haha. Miss Along, you want to hear stories again, right? Lin Lei. Hello, new people. When the other members in the group all expressed their welcome to the new members, Xiao Fan had already checked the basic information of Yuanzhang and Li Fiu. Li Fiu, from the world of mortal cultivation. Yuanzhang, from the world of investiture of the gods. Sure enough, they are the two. After reading the basic information of the two, Xiao Fan immediately confirmed their identities. Li Fiu's life is relatively simple. The reason why he is so famous is that in the original novel, Han Li has been fighting under the name of Li Fiu and left a reputation. Young Xiao's experience is simple, but also complicated. The key is that the conferred god tribulation is difficult to resolve. After reading the messages of the two, Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and joined the chat. Xiao Fan, at Young Xiao, at Li Fiu, welcomed the two newcomers to the group. After joining the group, everyone is a friend. You can speak freely in the group without being too restrained. Huang Rong, at Xiao Fan, brother Xiao Fan, do you know the situation of these two newcomers? Xiao Fan, I know something, but since they have joined the group, their fate lines will change, so what I know may not be accurate. When Xiao Fan and others were chatting about Young Xiao and Li Fiu and Young Xiao also noticed the chat group of the 10,000 worlds that suddenly appeared in their minds. The world of mortal cultivation, the 7 mysterious gates. At this time, Li Fiu was holding a few small bottles and a note in a daze. The note was left by Han Li. It was written very simply, just telling Li Fiu that he had left the Kixuan sect and might never come back. The things in this bottle were carefully prepared and should be able to extend Li Fiu's life. I hope Li Fiu will not refuse. Finally, at the signature, a smiling face of Han Li was drawn. Next to the smiling face, there were words left by Han Li, wishing Li Fiu to get married soon and have more children. Li Fiu was about to leave the house when he suddenly heard a mechanical voice in his mind, and at the same time, there was a magical picture in front of him. The chat group of all realms? What is this? Looking at the thing called the chat group that suddenly appeared, Li Fiu was in a state of doubt. It's a pity that Han Li left. Otherwise, he could ask him if he knew these things. Thinking in his heart, Li Fiu silently observed the conversations of everyone in the chat group. At this time, someone in the chat group happened to mention his name. Xiaoxiao. Speaking of this Li Fiu, he is quite famous. Unfortunately, his fame was created by others. Zilongnu, tell me in detail. I have a friend who would like to hear it. Expectation. Wan, you, a homely girl, have friends? Why don't I believe it? Smirk. Yan Lingjai. I think it's Zilongnu who wants to hear stories again. Zilongnu, Mr. Zhao said that everyone who joins the Wanji chat group is a friend. Aren't you my friends? Huang Rong, yes, if you count it that way, it is indeed true. Zilongnu, that's it, the friends I'm talking about are the friends in the group. Don't you want to know about Li Fiu? Qian Renxu, I haven't seen you for a while. Ms. Zilongnu has become much more cheerful and can even make jokes. Zhang San, that's good. Xiao, haha, since everyone is interested, I'll tell you about it. Xiao, I read a work about Li Fiu in my previous life. There is a sentence in it that left a deep impression on me. That sentence is Li Fiu is a murderer and arsonist, while Han Danzun is a rescuer. Zangbo. So, Li Fiu is a villain like me. Xiao. That's not the case. To explain in detail, we have to mention another person, Han Li, who is also Li Fiu's friend. Li Fiu was shocked when he saw Xiao mention Han Li. Li Fiu, miss, do you know Han Li? Do you know where he is now? Xiao, from what you said, Han Li has left Kixuanmen. Li Fiu, yes, Han Li left me a letter and left Kixuanmin alone. Xiaoxiao, well, I wanted to meet Han Lao, but it seems that I can only wait for an opportunity in the future. Li Fiu, Han Lao, why does Han Li have such a nickname? Xiaoxiao, let me explain the meaning of that sentence first. It mainly means that Han Li is using your name, Li Fiu. As Xiaoxiao explained, everyone's understanding of Li Fiu did not increase much, but they had a better understanding of Han Li. Yubuku, this Han Li is really, isn't this a trick on his friends? Zagbo, haha, no wonder he is called Han Old Demon. He is indeed a demon. Wan, good guy, I am nothing in front of this Han Old Demon. Xiao Fan, actually, it can be said that Han Li tricked Li Fiu, because Li Fiu used the marrow extraction pill. His desire for fame and fortune was much heavier than that of ordinary people. Han Li helped Li Fiu become famous all over the world. After reading Xiaoxiao's explanation and the conversation between Xiao Fan and others, Li Fiu couldn't help but smile bitterly. He didn't expect that his good friend would be so successful after leaving the Kixuan sect, and he also benefited from it. Yes, in Li Fiu's opinion, he just got the benefit. As for taking the blame for Han Li, Li Fiu didn't care. Looking at the small bottles in his hand, Li Fiu's gratitude to Han Li became even stronger. At the same time, in the world of the conferred god list, Sanxian Island, young Xiao was in seclusion and meditation, and suddenly sensed a series of voices in his mind, and a mysterious illusory light curtain appeared in front of him. In that light curtain, people kept talking and chatting. Young Xiao saw Xiaoxiao's words, asking newcomers to check the group introduction, so he used his spiritual sense to check it out, and soon figured out the function of the chat group. Young Xiao was very surprised by this magical chat group of all realms. This method, a Daoyuo Jinxian, could not do it. Could it be a special existence created by a quasi-saint or even a saint? After a while of thoughts in his mind, young Xiao also sent the first message in the group. Young Xiao, hello everyone, thank you for your welcome. I would like to ask, who created this chat group of all realms? Chapter 344, Young Xiao's Worries. Xiaoxiao, ahem, your question really stumped me. I don't know who created this chat group. Spreading hands, Xiao Fan. Everyone joins the group in the same way. As for who created the group, we don't know, and we have never seen the person who created the chat group. Yan Lingjai, who cares? Anyway, with this group, I have found a lot of fun, and it has also changed my original tragic fate. That's enough. Huang Rong, that's right. If I hadn't suddenly entered this magical chat group, I wouldn't have been able to meet brother Xiao Fan, and my mother wouldn't have been able to be resurrected. Yunzhang, well, I thought you had been in the group longer and would know the person who created this group. Such means are really amazing. Xiaoxiao, ahem, let's not talk about this topic. Speaking of which, Yunzhang, you should still be on Sanxian Island now, right? Has the conferred god tribulation begun? Yunzhang, do you also know about our world? Huang Rong, Miss Su and brother Xiao Fan basically know about the other group members. Even if they don't know 100%, they know about 80% of it. Young Xiao, I am indeed on Sanxian Island now. As for the Great Calamity, it has already begun. This Great Calamity is mainly for the conferred gods in heaven. The conferred gods' calamity is indeed very appropriate. Xiao Fan, since the conferred gods' calamity has already begun, Fairy Young Xiao had better not leave Sanxian Island, let alone get involved in the war between Ziki and Da Shang. Otherwise, I am afraid that I will end up miserably. Young Xiao, thank you for your reminder. My master also told me not to enter the world, to meditate in seclusion and recite the Huangting Sutra. Young Xiao will naturally not disobey the master's order and leave Sanxian Island. Xiaoxiao, nothing is absolute. According to your original destiny, you and your two sisters left Sanxian Island and participated in the war with Ziki. Conferred godless world, Sanxian Island. Young Xiao's expression changed slightly when he saw Xiaoxiao's words. He and his two sisters will leave Sanxian Island and join the conferred gods' war? With doubts in his heart, Young Xiao continued to send messages in the chat group. Young Xiao, if what you said is true, Why did my two sisters and I leave Sanxian Island and join the conferred gods' war? Xiaoxiao, it's mainly because you three have a brother, Gongming. Then, Xiaoxiao told the story of how Gongming was invited down the mountain, and how he was very powerful at first, but was later killed by Luya. Then, the three sisters left Sanxian Island and went to avenge Gongming. They swept through the 12 golden immortals of the Chant sect, and were finally killed by Yuan Shai Tenzun, who directly killed Xiaoxiao and Bixiao, and she herself was suppressed by Lazy at Kailan Cliff. Not only that, but even the final defeat of Jijiao, Tongshan Zuxian formation to fight the four saints alone, etc., all appeared in Xiaoxiao's sight. How could this be? After reading what Xiaoxiao described, Xiao felt a chill in her heart. As a Daoyuo Jinxian, Xiao has mastered some ways of calculation, but now the aura of the Great Calamity has disturbed the heavenly secrets, and her deduction has been restricted. However, after reading what Xiaoxiao described, Xiao's mind seemed to become clear all of a sudden. She could clearly judge that there was no deviation in what Xiaoxiao said. There was a voice in Xiao's heart telling her that the original ending of the three sisters would be the same as Xiaoxiao described. Xiaoxiao not only told the story of Fairy Xiao, but also told the general story of the conferred god list to the group friends. After reading it, everyone complained to Xiao Yan Lingjai. According to Xiaoxiao's description, the conferred god tribulation was about the fight between the disciples of the Chan sect and the Ji sect. How come in the end, Yuan Shai Tenzun, as the uncle, actually took action and killed his own nephew? Isn't this too unfair? Huangrong, that's right, bullying the weak with the big. What a bastard. Wan, and the four saints behind. They are also shameless enough to deal with Tongshan Jiazu together. Luo Feng, I can't understand why Tongshan Jiazu's two brothers want to unite with two Western saints to deal with their own junior brother. Dongba, what's wrong with that? Isn't it normal to do whatever it takes to win? It's just that some people can do it, but they don't let people say it. Liu Shen, the battle for the Great Tao has always been cruel. Lin Jiayu, ahem, there are gods above your head, so be careful with your words. Zhang Santh, indeed, you should be careful with your words and actions. Xiao Fan, you don't have to worry too much. Different worlds have different rules, and the gods in different worlds are also different. Now, the one who needs the most attention is Fairy Xiao Yan Lingjai. Fairy Xiao, why don't you find your brother Xiao Gongmin in advance and ask him not to participate in the conferred god war? He is not as strong as others, so he can only retreat for the time being. Yubuku, this is also a way. Dongba, not bad. Be patient first, and wait until you improve your strength through the chat group and the second saint of Jijiao comes out, then you can do what he wants. Xiao, how easy is it to become a saint? I'm a little confused now, so I'll go down first. I'd better go to find brother Xiao Gongmin and stop him from going down the mountain. After sending the message, Xiao directly exited the chat interface. Xiao took a breath and collected her mind, then she placed a restriction in front of her two sisters' caves. Unless her two sisters could surpass her in cultivation, they would not be able to break the restriction. Big sister, what are you doing? Seeing this, Xiao and Bixiao were very puzzled. Xiao said, you don't practice diligently on weekdays, so I have to use this method to force you to practice diligently. In addition, it is also to prevent you from sneaking out and getting involved in the conferred god tribulation. Facing the complaints of Xiao and Bixiao, Xiao turned a deaf ear and left Sanxian Island directly to find Xiao Gongming. As for the other people in Jijiao, Xiao could only say sorry. At this time, in the chat group interface, after Xiao temporarily went offline, everyone focused their attention on another newcomer, Li Fiu. Xiao. At Li Fiu, Master Li, have you left Kixuanmen now? Li Fiu, no, what's wrong? Xiao, nothing, it's just that in the original trajectory, not long after Han Li left Kixuanmen, you also left Kixuanmen and returned to the secular world, married and had children to establish a family, which is a bit of a pity. Li Fiu, I don't have much life now, What's the point of staying in Kixuanmen? It's too late for me to seek immortality, so I can only go back to marry and have children and live a mortal life. Xiao Fan, if you are determined to end the path of cultivation, there is nothing wrong. If you are unwilling and still want to continue on this path, I may be able to help you. Li Fu, is there really a way for Mr. Xiao to help me? Li Fu is naturally unwilling to be an ordinary person, but he originally had no way. Xiao Fan said that he could help him now, and Li Fu immediately raised hope again. Xiao Fan, it should be no problem, but I have to see you first to confirm. Li Fu, okay, I will invite Mr. Xiao to come to our world. After sending the message, Li Fu directly invited Xiao Fan through the chat group. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345. Sign in again. Li Fu is grateful. Xiao Fan received Li Fu's invitation, and naturally he agreed without any hesitation. The next moment, Xiao Fan traveled to the world of mortal cultivation through the Wanji chat group. Mortal Cultivation World, 7 Mysterious Gates. Li Fu was sitting in his room, thinking about how Fan would come, and soon saw the mysterious light gate appearing in the air, and his mind was immediately shocked. Mr. Xiao, are you immortal? Seeing the way Xiao Fan appeared, Li Fu was shocked and asked subconsciously. After seeing the methods of Han Li, a cultivator, Li Fu was obviously very yearning for becoming an immortal in his heart. Xiao Fan smiled when he heard this. I'm still a long way from becoming an immortal. These strange phenomena are just formed by the chat group when you use it to travel through the world. If you use the chat group to travel to other worlds, such strange phenomena will also appear. Li Fu was startled when he heard this. So that's the case. Xiao Fan said. However, being able to join the chat group is an opportunity. It also means that you are blessed. I believe you will have the opportunity to become an immortal in the future. Li Fu said, if I can really become an immortal, I have to thank Mr. Xiao for his kindness today. Xiao Fan smiled and said, are you reminding me to improve your physical condition? Li Fu hurriedly said, I didn't mean that. Xiao Fan said, don't be nervous, I was just joking. Okay, I've checked your condition. Actually, it's not a big problem. Your lifespan problem is, on the one hand, because you use medicine indiscriminately, which damages the origin of your body. On the other hand, it is because of your low level of cultivation. Li Fu smiled bitterly and said, these are all small problems in the eyes of young Master Xiao, but for me, they are big problems. Xiao Fan took out a long strip of heavenly and earthly fairy milk and handed it to Li Fu. You just need to grind some of it into powder and brew it with water, and you will naturally replenish your essence and restore your body to its peak state. I don't have anything to repay young Master Xiao. Li Fu looked at the long strip of heavenly and earthly fairy milk, although he didn't know what it was. Just smelling it made him feel comfortable all over. Xiao Fan smiled and said, for me, this is just something that is readily available, so you don't have to care too much about it. Of course, if you really want to repay me, then you should work hard to practice. Only when you are stronger can you have the opportunity to help me. Li Fu took a deep breath and took the piece of heaven and earth fairy milk with both hands, and said solemnly, Mr. Xiao's great favor. Li Fu will definitely remember it in his heart. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. You can use it to heal your wounds first. Just grind off a little bit of powder, the rest may be used later. Next, under Xiao Fan's instructions, Li Fu used the long strip of heaven and earth fairy milk to grind off some powder, brewed it with water and drank it, and then began to recuperate. Xiao Fan glanced at Li Fu silently, and then he gave the system a sign-in instruction in his heart. Ding! Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained a complete chain of thunder laws. Note, after refining, you can master the thunder laws, and any thunder-attributed material energy can be controlled at will, and you can also control the birth and death of thunder tribulations. Lightning Law Chain? Xiao Fan was a little surprised to hear the content of the system reward. This kind of reward was the first time he received it. After returning, he would start to refine it. Xiao Fan is now at the peak of Doupo, which is equivalent to the Sage King realm in the world of Zacian. The next realm is the Great Sage realm. The Great Sage realm is the limit of the realm of the Holy Tao Law. When he finishes refining this law chain, the Great Sage realm will naturally come naturally. In fact, it is much higher than the Great Sage realm. The Quasi-Emperor realm after the Great Sage realm has to go through a tribulation in each heaven. After he completely refines the lightning law chain, he can control the thunder tribulation, and the Quasi-Emperor realm will not be difficult for him. This time the reward is quite good. When Xiao Fan was full of harvest, Li Fi took the spiritual liquid brewed with the heaven and earth fairy milk, and his physical condition soon returned to the peak. Thank you for the gift, Mr. Zhao. After sensing his physical condition, Li Fi stopped regulating his breath, bowed to Xiao Fan, and expressed his gratitude solemnly. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "I've already said that this is just a casual thing for me, don't take it to heart. Besides, I have also gained a lot in your world." Li Fi was stunned when he heard this. "Mr. Zhao has gained a lot in our world? Haven't you been here all the time?" Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "You don't have to delve into this matter. I said there are gains, so there are gains. Although your physical condition has recovered now, it is only the normal lifespan of an ordinary person. If you want to extend your life, you also need to improve your strength. I have a foundation building pill here. After you take the foundation building pill, your cultivation can directly break through to the foundation building stage." After saying that, Xiao Fan flicked it casually, and a foundation building pill fell directly into Li Fi's palm. "This is too precious." Li Fi was shocked when he heard Xiao Fan's words, and was a little stunned by such a great benefit. Xiao Fan said, "Take it. I don't need this pill now. You'd better take it and refine it directly, so as not to be missed by others." When Li Fi heard Xiao Fan's words, his gratitude to Xiao Fan became many times stronger. Li Fi will definitely remember the great favor of Mr. Zhao, and will do his best to repay him in the future. Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, "It's up to you. You take the pill and refine it first. I happen to be here, so I can protect you by the way." Li Fi said respectfully, "Then I won't be polite." Li Fi felt that he had received too many favors from Xiao Fan, so there was no need to be fussy. He immediately sat cross-legged and swallowed the foundation building pill. Under the power of the foundation building pill, Li Fi soon stepped into the path of cultivation, and his aura gradually strengthened. An hour later, Li Fi's cultivation level directly climbed to the initial stage of foundation building. At this time, the power of the foundation building pill was completely refined by Li Fi. Li Fi felt the powerful strength in his body, and for a moment he was a little bit unbelievable, feeling like he was dreaming. "I have become a foundation building cultivator now?" Li Fi stood up, looked at his body, and couldn't help but murmured. Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "This is just the beginning. The follow-up still depends on your own efforts. Cultivation is far more cruel and difficult than you think. You must be mentally prepared in advance." Li Fi came back to his senses when he heard Xiao Fan's words, and expressed his gratitude to Xiao Fan again, and then solemnly said, "Thank you, Mr. Zhao. Li Fi will keep your words in mind." Xiao Fan said, "By the way, your good friend Han Li should be not far away from the Kixuan Gate now. If you want to see him, I can take you to catch up with him. What do you think?" Chapter 346, Refining the Law Chain, Cultivation Source. Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Li Fi was silent for a while, and then shook his head and said, "Forget it. Han Li has his own path, and I also have my own path. Although I have surpassed Han Li with the help of Mr. Zhao, I believe that with Han Li's ability, he will definitely surpass me soon." According to what Ms. Su said, Han Li's path is destined to be extraordinary. I won't join in the fun, nor will I add to his burden. Xiao Fan just asked casually and didn't care about it. Hearing Li Fi's choice, he smiled and said, "In this case, it's up to you. However, you don't have to belittle yourself. With the chat group, I believe you will not be inferior to Han Li." Li Fi smiled and said, "I hope so." Xiao Fan said, "Okay, your physical problem has been solved now, and you have embarked on the path of cultivation. I plan to take a casual tour of your world and then return. If you have free time, you can also visit our world, or go to the world of other group members to broaden your horizons. That's all possible." Upon hearing this, Li Fi hurriedly said, "Mr. Xiao, why don't you stay here for a while?" Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, "No need, go and do your thing, I'm leaving." After that, Xiao Fan's figure flashed slightly and disappeared directly from Li Fi's sight. Li Fi looked at the direction where Xiao Fan left, his eyes full of gratitude. After a while, Li Fi retracted his gaze and said solemnly, "Mr. Xiao, don't worry, Li Fi, will never forget your kindness." Xiao Fan naturally didn't know Li Fi's reaction after he left. However, even if he knew, Xiao Fan wouldn't care. With Xiao Fan's speed of cultivation, Li Fi couldn't catch up with him at all. Therefore, Xiao Fan didn't need Li Fi to help him. The reason why he helped Li Fi was, on the one hand, because of some plot in his previous life, and on the other hand, because he got a good reward in the world of mortal cultivation, and his mood was also very good. After Xiao Fan left the Kixun Gate, he casually wandered around the world of mortal cultivation and found that the environment of this world was somewhat similar to that of the heaven-covering world and the perfect world. Perhaps it was because these worlds were all worlds for seeking immortality. Xiao Fan wandered around casually, but did not find any unexpected gains, so he directly returned to the Dqi world through the Wanji chat group. After returning to the Dqi world, not much time had passed, and Xiao Yan was still refining pills. So Xiao Fan directly took out the Thunder Law Chain and refined it in the practice room. With Xiao Fan's current strength, he has long been invincible in the entire Dqi continent. Even if he stood there motionless and allowed others to attack him, it would not cause any harm to Xiao Fan. Therefore, Xiao Fan was too lazy to go to the Source Chi Tower for retreat. The so-called Thunder Law Chain looks like a gene chain that has been magnified countless times. Xiao Fan looked at the Thunder Law Chain with a faint purple light, pondered for a moment, and directly used the heaven-swallowing and earth-devouring divine power. Between his palms, a pitch-black vortex appeared silently, and the terrifying devouring power wrapped the Lightning Law Chain in it. What surprised Xiao Fan was that even if he pushed the heaven-devouring and earth-devouring divine power to the extreme, he could not swallow the Lightning Law Chain directly into the vortex. As he used his devouring divine power, lightning runes would continue to be released on the Lightning Law Chain, and were swallowed by the black vortex. As those lightning runes were swallowed and refined by him, Xiao Fan felt that his understanding of thunder was gradually deepening. As time passed, lightning runes continued to fall off from the law chain, and then were refined and absorbed by Xiao Fan. The aura of the lightning law on Xiao Fan's body became more and more intense. A quarter of an hour, half an hour, dot. In the blink of an eye, 8 days had passed. During these 8 days, Ziyan and King Lin also came back to see Xiao Fan. Seeing that Xiao Fan was still concentrating on practicing, King Lin guarded outside the practice room. Ziyan had no interest in going shopping alone, so she also stood guard outside the room. On the other side, Yan's alchemy was also continuing. After 8 days, he was almost at the last step. During the 8 days, Xiao Fan used the heaven-devouring and earth-devouring divine power to refine the Lightning Law Chain. During the refining process, the Lightning Law Chain seemed to gradually become thinner. The Lightning Law aura on Xiao Fan's body became more and more intense, until the night of the 8th day, no runes fell off the Lightning Law Chain. The Lightning Law Chain seemed to tremble unwillingly, emitting arcs of electricity, and was finally swallowed by the dark vortex in Xiao Fan's palm. Another night passed. On the morning of the 9th day, the Lightning Law Chain was finally completely refined by Xiao Fan. On the forehead of Xiao Fan, a thunder mark appeared, emitting a heart-pounding thunder power. Xiao Fan exhaled a long breath of turbid air, slowly opened his eyes, and the swallowing vortex in the palm of his hand disappeared silently. Now, according to the standards of the world of shrouding heaven, I have already reached the realm of Great Saint, and directly reached the 9th level of Great Saint. Not bad, very good. After sensing the situation in his body, Xiao Fan was immediately very satisfied. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and the thunder mark on his forehead also disappeared. Xiao Fan stood up and stretched. Practicing continuously for 9 days was already a long time for him. Standing up, Xiao Fan pushed open the door of the practice room and walked out. "Master, brother Xiao Fan." Seeing Xiao Fan coming out, King Lin and Ziyan were immediately shocked and spoke with joy. Xiao Fan smiled and said, Thank you for your hard work. King Lin said, no, I just sat here to practice, I didn't do anything. It's not hard. Zhu Yan smiled and said, Brother Xiao Fan, since you think I've worked hard, can you give me some compensation? Xiao Fan asked back, what compensation do you want? Zhu Yan blinked, well, just give me some more delicious pills, I can't think of anything else. Xiao Fan stretched out his hand, tapped Zhu Yan's forehead, and then took out a bottle of pills from the ring and handed it to Zhu Yan. Thank you, Brother Xiao Fan. Zhu Yan quickly stretched out her hand to take the pills, and said happily. At this moment, Xiao Fan sensed that there was a faint sound of wind and thunder in the alchemy room, especially above the alchemy room. At this moment, the sky was covered with dark clouds, which looked very scary. Haha, I just came out of retreat, and Xiaoyanzi has also finished refining the elixir. This is double happiness. Let's go and see what elixir Xiaoyanzi has refined. Sensing the movement in the alchemy room, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly and chuckled. After that, Xiao Fan walked directly towards the alchemy room. Seeing this, King Lin and Zhen naturally followed Xiao Fan without hesitation. Chapter 347, raising his hand to drive away the Danlei. The Danta giants were shocked. Soon, several people came to the alchemy room where Yan was. Zhuan Yi, Yan Lazy, Zhuan Kongzi and Yao Chen were all outside the alchemy room at this moment, looking up at the sky excitedly. Thunder clouds rolled across the vast sky. The colorful thunder clouds covered the sky, and the powerful thunder pressure spread out from them, which made people shudder. It seems that Xiaoyanzi has directly made a pill of 5-color pill thunder quality. Not bad. Xiao Fan saw the rolling thunder in the sky, but his face was indifferent, and he chuckled. At this time, the rolling of the 5-color thundercloud in the sky was also becoming more and more violent, and the low thunder sounded continuously, and the gorgeous thunder with thick thighs shuttled around in the clouds. Swish! The thundercloud rolled and suddenly shrank violently, and then a 5-color thunder, like a giant python, rushed out of the clouds, and then tore the space, bringing a terrible crackling sound, and rushed down to the alchemy room where Yan was. Yan in the alchemy room was also concentrating and ready to take on the thunder tribulation. Come! At this moment, Xiao Fan suddenly uttered a low hum. Suddenly, the 5-colored thunder, like a giant python, suddenly turned around and rushed towards Xiao Fan. Zhuan Kongzi, Zhuan Yi, Yan Lizi and Yao Chen were all surprised to see this scene. However, the next moment, something even more surprising happened. The giant thunder python circled around Xiao Fan, revealing a human-like intimacy, and then silently merged into Xiao Fan's body. Xiao Fan himself did not suffer any damage. Even his clothes were as clean as before. Boom, boom. At the same time, the gorgeous thunder, like a roaring dragon in the sky, raged and danced in the sky. Xiao Fan raised his right hand slightly, waved at the sky, and said lightly, disperse. In an instant, the thunder clouds in the sky dissipated directly on the spot. The sky, which was originally covered by thunder clouds, instantly regained its clarity, and the sky was clear and cloudless. Hiss! Seeing this scene, Zhuan Kongzi, Zhuan Yi and Tianzi couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, and their hearts were shocked beyond words. Even Yao Chen widened his eyes at this moment, and had a new understanding of Xiao Fan's strength. With his words, he dispersed the thunder with a wave of his hand. It seems that the ancient D didn't have such ability, right? In the alchemy room, Yan first saw the thunder python that was about to bombard him, suddenly turned around and flew towards Xiao Fan, and then all the thunder clouds in the sky dissipated. This made Yan also couldn't help but be stunned. This 5-color pill thunder, is it over? Looking at the sky that had regained its clarity and was as clear as 1,000 miles of blue waves, Yan murmured in his mouth, always feeling unreal. Although, now Yan has the cultivation of a 6-starred Sheng, it is not too difficult for him to deal with the 5-color pill thunder, but he definitely couldn't do it as easily as Xiao Fan. More importantly, Xiao Fan dispelled the thunder tribulation directly with the raise of his hand. Is he still a human? Master Xiao Fan, what was that just now? After a while, Zhuan Kongzi recovered first, walked to Xiao Fan, and asked Xiao Fan with some awe. Xiao Fan smiled faintly, it's just a little trick, Not worth mentioning. Small trick. This is still called a small trick. Then what is a big trick? Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Zhuan Kongcai, Tianlisi, Zhuan Yi and Yao Chen looked at each other, and were speechless for a while. At this time, Yan also came out of the alchemy room. Xiao Fan smiled and said, Yanzi, how is it? Did the alchemy go smoothly this time? Yan said, it went smoothly, but the alchemy thunder was gone at the end, which is a bit regrettable. Hearing Yan's words, Zhuan Kongcai, Zhuan Yi and Tianlisi were speechless again. Is this human language? Even when they were refining pills, they had to be careful when facing the pill thunder, for fear of making mistakes. If someone blocked the pill thunder for them when they were refining pills, they would only be happy. What kind of regret is that? Yan and Xiao Fan are really brothers. What they said was so irritating. Xiao Fan glanced at Yan and said, I'm just too lazy to waste time. If you want to experience the pill thunder, I will bring it to you. Then that's not necessary. Yan couldn't help but stagnate when he heard Xiao Fan's words. After a pause, Yan turned to Zhuan Kongcai and the other two and asked, the elixir has been refined. Do the elders want to check it? Upon hearing this, Zhuan Kongcai, Tianlisi and Zhuan Yi looked at each other, and then Zhuan Kongcai said, no need, we watched you refine it, so naturally we have no doubts. Next, you take a few days to rest and get enough energy, and then we will take you to the star field. Hearing Zhuan Kongcai's words, Yan was a little curious and asked, star field, what is that place? Zhuan Yi explained, star field is a small world opened up by the elders of Dan Tower, and the 3,000 flames are in the star field. Yan nodded slightly after hearing this. I see, thank you and Zhuan for clearing up my doubts. Tianlisi asked, I wonder how many days it will take for little friend Yan to recuperate. Yan pondered for a moment and said, 3 days will be enough. Zhuan Kongcai nodded and said, okay, for the next 3 days, you will stay and enter to recuperate. We will prepare in advance. After 3 days, the three of us will work together to open the star field. At that time, you will go directly to the star field and try to refine the 3,000 flames. Yan naturally had no objection to this. Next, Yan stayed and entered to recuperate. After all, refining pills for 8 or 9 days in a row was still very exhausting for Xiao Yan. While Xiao Yan was recuperating, Xiao Fan was once again dragged by Zi Yan to stroll around Chengdan City. Of course, King Lin also followed them. 3 days passed in a flash. This day, it was also the time agreed by Zhuan Kongcai and Xiao Yan. Xiao Fan brought Zi Yan and King Lin, accompanied Xiao Yan, and once again found Zhuan Kongcai, Tianlisi and Zhuan Yi, the three Danta giants. Zhuan Kongcai said, it's best to set the time to enter the star field at noon, so you may need to wait a little longer. Yan smiled and said, it doesn't matter. I've been waiting for so long. It's not a big deal to wait a little longer. While waiting, Zhuan Kongcai also told Yan some information about the 3,000 Yi fires. Zhuan Yi and Yao Chen also added a lot of things, which made Yan know more about the 3,000 Yi fires. When the sun in the sky gradually climbed to the top, Zhuan Kongcai said loudly, it's time. Yan, you should be ready later. Yan nodded slightly. I'm ready and can enter the star field at any time. Zhuan Kongcai nodded slightly, and then flew out to the sky with Zhuan Yi and Tianlisi. Zhuan Kongcai and the other two looked at each other, and the handprints changed like lightning. The vast soul fluctuations spread from the three people's bodies. Chapter 348. Heading to the star region. In an instant, everyone saw that the empty sky suddenly fluctuated violently. Then, a light silver space gate appeared in front of everyone's gaze. Zhuan Kongcai looked in the direction of Xiao Yan and said in a deep voice, little friend Xiao Yan, please go in. The great elder of Danta will lead the way for you and introduce the situation in the star field. When Zhuan Kongcai finished speaking, a white-robed figure slowly appeared in front of everyone, stayed on Xiao Yan and Xiao Fan for a while, and then said to Xiao Yan, my name is Kai Ling. After we enter the star field, just follow me. Xiao Yan bowed and said, sorry to trouble Elder Caillou. Xiao Fan smiled faintly at this time and said, I am also interested in this star field and the 3,000 Yan fires in the star field, so I will go in with you to take a look. When Zi Yan heard what Xiao Fan said, she immediately said, I want to go too, King Lin said weakly. Wherever the young master goes, I will go. Yao Chen smiled and said, since everyone has gone in, you don't mind me going with you. Hearing this, Zhuan Kongcai couldn't help but look at the great elder Kai Ling. Kai Ling hesitated for a moment, but nodded and agreed. In that case, everyone follow me. After that, Kai Ling directly stepped into the silver space gate. Xiao Fan and Xiao Yan followed Kai Ling and also crossed the space gate. As soon as they entered the star field, they were hit by a scorching temperature. Xiao Fan looked up and saw that the so-called star field looked quite desolate inside, with a faint hot mist around. Faintly, there was a little weak light penetrating into this space, making the light here slightly cold. Xiao Yan casually grasped the faint light with his palm, but it was cold at the touch. His eyes narrowed. Is this the light of the stars? The elder named Kai Ling nodded and said, yes, it is the power of the stars. The star field cannot prevent the penetration of the star power, but the star power is weakest during the day, which is why we chose to enter the star field at noon. Yao Chen said, the 3,000 flames are also known as the starry sky fire. It is born from the condensation of star power. As long as the star power is enough, it will be immortal. This star field mainly restricts it from absorbing more star power, right? Kai Ling said, it is not that easy to restrict the 3,000 flames from absorbing star power. Everyone, please follow me. After that, Kai Ling sped up and headed in one direction. Xiao Fan took Ziyan and King Lin with him, while Yao Chen and Xiao Yan performed their own body skills and followed Kai Ling. It's too desolate here. There's nothing interesting at all. Ziyan couldn't help but complained with some disappointment while looking at the extremely desolate star field on the way. Xiao Fan smiled and said, except for the 3,000 flames, there are no other creatures here. Isn't it normal to be desolate? Do you expect the 3,000 flames to take care of this small world? The few people chatted while rushing on the road without any pressure. After about 20 minutes, Kai Ling, who was leading the way in front, suddenly stopped, looked ahead, and said in a deep voice, we're here. At this moment, Xiao Fan and Xiao Yan also sensed that in a distant void space, there was a blazing strong light emerging. The light was so strong that it was like the sun here, making people's eyes a little uncomfortable. After the group approached the dazzling strong light, the object in the light appeared clearly in their sight. In the light, there was a huge dragon with no end in sight. The dragon's eyes were closed, and its body was winding and coiled. On its huge body, a strange purple-black flame lingered. As the flame rose, the surrounding space was distorted. Is this the 3,000 yuan fire? How come it looks like someone from my clan? Ziyan was a little surprised when she saw the shape of the 3,000 yuan fire. Now Ziyan already knew her identity as a member of the Taixu ancient dragon clan. In addition, she had received part of the inheritance of the Taixu ancient dragon and the ancient sky phoenix in the ancient Shang ruins last time, so she had a little understanding and closeness to the Taixu ancient dragon clan. Yao Chen said, there are thousands of forms of strange fire, so it's not strange. Xiao Fan couldn't help but remember that in the original work, Ziyan told Xiao Yan that this 3,000 yuan fire had been raised by the Taixu ancient dragon clan. In addition, a senior of the Taixu ancient dragon clan left a dragon seal in its body. In the original work, Xiao Yan was able to successfully refine the 3,000 yuan fire, and the dragon seal also played a significant role. However, Xiao Fan did not say these, because there was no need. With Xiao Yan's current 6-star Shang cultivation strength, even if Xiao Fan did not help, Xiao Yan could easily subdue the 3,000 fires. Kai Ling said in a deep voice, this is the 3,000 fires. Xiao Yan, you should go forward and try to subdue it. It is best to use gentle means. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. Thank you. After thanking him, Xiao Yan took a deep breath, walked slowly forward, and walked towards the 3,000 fires. Seeing Xiao Yan getting closer and closer to the body of 3,000 Yuan, Kai Ling suddenly thought of something and reminded Xiao Yan, little friend Xiao Yan, there is a dragon scale on the forehead of 3,000 Yuan that has not been covered by the purple-black flame. Put your palm on it and then invade your soul power into it. If you are lucky, you may be able to subdue it. Thank you for the reminder. Xiao Yan thanked Kai Ling, and indeed found a dragon scale on the forehead of the giant flame dragon transformed by 3,000 yuan. Xiao Yan immediately stretched out his palm and stuck it on the dragon scale, slowly releasing the soul power and invading the consciousness of 3,000 yuan. Xiao Yan's current cultivation is many times stronger than that in the original book. When the alchemy competition was held, not only the cultivation, but also Xiao Yan's soul power, after practicing the skills given by Xiao Yan, has also improved rapidly and reached the terrifying heavenly realm. Soul roar, stupid human, you dare to dream of conquering me, you are looking for death. Under the stimulation of Xiao Yan's soul power, the huge fire dragon suddenly woke up and roared angrily. Xiao Yan ignored the roar of the 3,000 Yi fires and just increased the output of soul power. Bang bang bang, the giant dragon transformed by the 3,000 Yi fires felt the crisis in the depths of its soul, and its huge dragon body shook endlessly in the star field. It's better not to struggle, so as not to suffer more pain. Seeing this, Xiao Yan chuckled. Although the 3,000 Yi fire struggled desperately, in the end, it was successfully refined by Xiao Yan. When Qiu Ling saw that Xiao Yan had successfully refined it, a complex look flashed in his eyes. Since Xiao Yan, my friend, has successfully refined the 3,000 Yi fires, let's go back. Boom boom. At this moment, a terrifying roar suddenly came from the entrance of the star field. Chapter 349, The Lingering Soul Palace. Damn it, are you Soul Palace going to start a war? The roar was mixed with Zhuan Kongcai's angry roar. Hearing that voice, Dante's great elder Qiu Ling's face suddenly changed. Not good, the Soul Palace people are here, we will go back immediately. Why bother so much, we are already here. At this time, a strange laugh came. As the voice fell, a group of figures in black robes rushed in from the entrance of the star field. The leader had the aura of a superior, although his face could not be seen clearly because he was shrouded in black fog. He exuded a faint majesty. The aura of cultivation revealed by this person was surprisingly at the level of a 5-starred Sheng. You are the Lord of the Soul Palace, you actually came in person. Qiu Ling's face suddenly changed when he saw the leading man, and he exclaimed, that's right, the leading man was the Lord of the Soul Palace, Omniscient. Since the Soul Palace encountered Xiao Fan, it has been losing people one after another. Some time ago, even the deputy master of the Soul Palace was killed. Now the masters of the Soul Palace are a little insufficient. This time, Omniscient chose to come in person for the sake of safety. Hand over the 3,000 yuan fire, and this master will spare your life. Omniscient looked at Qiu Ling with a condescending attitude. The pawns of the Soul Palace are almost all over the Qi continent. Although the news about the Holy Dan City has not been fully investigated, it is known that Danta is going to give away the 3,000 yuan fire. The Soul Palace is also planning to take the 3,000 yuan fire, but it is not easy to find the entrance to the star field. Now that the 3 giants of Danta have joined forces to open the entrance to the star field, it has given them an opportunity. When Xiao Fan saw Omniscient and the people from the Soul Palace appear, he couldn't help but frown. It's you, the shameful guys again. You're still haunting us, making trouble everywhere. Omniscient heard this, looked at Xiao Fan, and said coldly, I heard that before in the ancient Sheng ruins, a young man killed a lot of people from my Soul Palace. It should be you. I haven't found you yet, but you jumped out first. Today, I'm going to avenge my people from the Soul Palace. Revenge? I think I'd better send you to see the other people from your Soul Palace. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and a large and terrifying thundercloud suddenly appeared over the star field, covering the sky and the sun. The entire star field seemed to tremble under the pressure of the terrifying thundercloud. Omniscient and the people from the Soul Palace saw the terrifying thundercloud, and their expressions changed drastically, and they were full of vigilance. Boom. However, before they could react, endless purple lightning suddenly appeared from the terrifying thundercloud, swooping down towards them like a blue dragon. Under the terrifying thunder attack, the so-called strong men of the Soul Palace screamed in pain, and then were directly struck into charcoal by the thunder. Even the Soul Palace master Omniscient was no exception. Qiu Ling, who was standing aside, could not help but take a breath of cold air when he saw this scene. Not to mention the other people in the Soul Palace, The Soul Palace Master Omniscient was a 5-star Cheng level strong man, but he was killed by Xiao Fan with just one blow. Xiao Fan's strength is too terrifying. Moreover, Xiao Fan's means of attack are so amazing that he casually summoned thunder all over the sky. Is this still a human being? Is this the means of an emperor? Zhuan Kongcai, Jianzi and Zhuan Yi, who were in a state of disgrace, had just entered the star field with the people from the Soul Palace. They happened to see the scene of the people from the Soul Palace being destroyed by the thunder summoned by Xiao Fan, and they were all stunned on the spot. As for Yan, Yao Chen, King Lin and Zhi Yan, they were already accustomed to Xiao Fan's strength. However, they were still a little surprised at Xiao Fan's method of summoning thunder. Yan smiled bitterly and said, "I thought my strength had improved a lot, and the gap with my third brother had narrowed. Now it seems that the gap between us has not only not narrowed, but has become larger and larger." After Yan subdued the 3,000 flames, his cultivation level directly broke through from the 6-star Cheng to the 7-star Cheng. The 7-star Cheng is also a top powerhouse in the entire Qi continent. Unfortunately, his growth seemed to be completely child's play in front of Xiao Fan. Zhi Yan giggled and said, "When you finished refining the pill that day, you felt sorry that brother Xiao Fan had dispersed the pill thunder for you. Now it seems that brother Xiao Fan can summon as much pill thunder as you want at any time. Do you want to try it?" Yan shook his head. "Senior sister Zhi Yan, please don't joke with me." He, Yan, does not have the problem of self-abuse. Kaiyu Ling, Zhuan Kongcai, Jianzi and Zhuan Yi all came over and bowed to Xiao Fan at the same time. "Thank you, young master Xiao, for helping Dante get rid of the powerful enemy." Xiao Fan smiled lightly and said, "There is no need to be polite, elders. The Soul Palace is also our enemy." Zhi Yan clenched her fist and said, "Last time at the Qing ruins, we encountered obstruction from those guys in the Soul Palace. This time, the Soul Palace is plotting against us again. They really deserve to die. Now that the master of the Soul Palace is dead, let's see if they dare to continue to cause trouble." Upon hearing this, Yao Chen said with a serious look, "The Soul Palace is actually not the most terrifying. Behind the Soul Palace is the support of the Soul Clan. The Soul Clan is one of the 8 ancient clans. Now it can be said to be the strongest among the 8 clans, and even the ancient clans can hardly match it. As long as the Soul Clan is still there, the team of the Soul Palace can be rebuilt at any time." Zhuan Kongcai echoed, "That's true, and this time, all the high-level Soul Palace officials such as Omniscient have died here. I'm afraid the Soul Clan will not give up easily." Xiao Fan glanced at Zhuan Kongcai and Yao Chen with a half-smile, and said lightly, "Don't worry, the Soul Palace has attacked me and Jianzi again and again, and I am a little impatient. Now that the Soul Palace has been almost destroyed, I will let people make a full effort to completely destroy the Soul Palace. As for the Soul Clan, I will go there in person." Zhi Yan was very excited when she heard Xiao Fan's words. "Brother Xiao Fan, are you going to destroy the Soul Clan? Count me in, I'll go with you." Zhuan Kongcai, Jianzi and Kaiyu Ling looked at each other, and then said at the same time, "Danda is willing to follow Master Xiao to destroy the forces of the Soul Palace scattered throughout Zhongzhou." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "In that case, Jianzi will be in charge, and you will work together to encircle and suppress the remnants of the Soul Palace, and I will personally destroy the Soul Clan." After a pause, Xiao Fan said to Zhi Yan and King Lin, "You two, join the action to destroy the remnants of the Soul Palace. I am enough to deal with the Soul Clan alone, and you won't have a chance to attack them when you get there." Zhi Yan rolled her eyes and nodded, "Okay, then I'll go and kill the remnants of the Soul Palace." "Let's go. Let's get out of the star field first." Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and walked out of the star field first. The others naturally followed closely behind. Chapter 350 Joint Counterattack. Goodbye Xunner. After the group left the star field, Zhuan Kongcai and the other two joined forces to close the star field again. Several elders of Danta directly issued a statement that from now on, Danta would go to war with Soul Palace and wipe out all the forces of Soul Palace. In addition to Danta, Xiao Fan asked Xiao Yan to issue a statement in the name of Lei Yanzong. Yao Chen, the master of Xinyan Pavilion, was naturally unwilling to lag behind. Of course, They also mentioned in the statement that the Master of Soul Palace, Hun Maish, had been killed. The three major forces declared war on Soul Palace at the same time, and the Master of Soul Palace was killed by the Master of Lei Yanzong. For a time, all the forces in Zhongzhou who received the news were greatly shocked. 1 palace, 1 tower, 2 sects, 3 valleys, and 4 square pavilions are the top 11 forces in Zhongzhou. Among them, Soul Palace is the leader of the 11 forces. The original Fenglai Pavilion had been destroyed by Lei Yanzong, and now Lei Yanzong has killed the Master of Soul Palace and many Masters of Soul Palace. The name of Lei Yanzong directly made the whole Zhongzhou tremble. Now, the three major forces have joined forces to kill the Soul Palace, which has caused an uproar in Zhongzhou. The Soul Palace is used to being domineering in Zhongzhou, and I don't know how many people hate them. Now, with Danta, Lei Yanzong and Xinyan Pavilion taking the lead, many people have joined the crusade against the Soul Palace. Of course, more people have chosen to wait and see for the time being. After all, they did not see with their own eyes the scene of Xiao Fan killing the Soul Palace Master Hun Maish. When Danta, Xinyan Pavilion and others took action, Xiao Fan also embarked on the road to the Soul Clan. Before leaving, Xiao Fan directly released all the people from Lei Yanzong in the small world. The people from Lei Yanzong were actually disciples of Fenglai Pavilion. They lived in Xiao Fan's small world for a period of time, and with some deliberate interference from Xiao Fan. Now these people have become Xiao Fan's loyal believers. Xiao Fan also used the effects of the World Tree and the Body Tree, as well as the assistance of the Heaven and Earth Fairy Milk, to greatly improve their strength. The weakest of the people in the Lei Yan sect now have reached the Huang level. When the elders of Danta and Yao Chen saw the changes in the strength of the people in the Lei Yan sect, they were all shocked. Danta was better. In Xinyan Pavilion, the number of cultivators at the Huang and Zong level was not as many as imagined. Xiao Fan was too lazy to pay attention to everyone's thoughts. Xiao Fan was too lazy to cast a wide net to search the entire Qi continent like a headless fly. So he rushed to the Gu clan first. Brother Xiao Fan, you are here. Gu Xun'er saw Xiao Fan coming and her face was immediately full of joy. Since the Gu clan's coming-of-age ceremony, she and Xiao Fan have not seen each other for some time. Xiao Fan reached out and rubbed Xun'er's head, smiling and saying, I came to see Xun'er, and by the way, I asked Chief Gu about something. Xun'er rolled her eyes at Xiao Fan. You think I'm the one who came by the way? Xiao Fan touched his nose and chuckled. How could that be? You wronged me. Xun'er didn't bother to care about these things, and asked casually, what did Brother Xiao Fan want to find my father to find out? Xiao Fan didn't hide anything about this. I'm going to go to the Soul Clan, but I don't know the space node of the Soul Realm, so I want to ask Chief Gu for advice. The Qi continent is extremely vast. Although Xiao Fan's soul power is so strong that it can almost cover the entire Qi continent, it is still a bit troublesome to find a space node. There is a simpler way, and of course he will choose the simpler way. Gu Xun'er's expression changed slightly when she heard Xiao Fan's words. Brother Xiao Fan, are you going to the Soul Clan? The Soul Clan is stronger than the Gu Clan. I'm afraid it will be dangerous for you to go to the Soul Clan. Xiao Fan smiled and said, you don't have to worry about this. Xun'er, speaking of which, I forgot to tell you a good news. Xun'er asked curiously, what good news? Xiao Fan said, I have now successfully broken through to the Qi realm. Even if all the people of the Soul Clan come together, they are no threat to me. On the Qi continent, the strongest realm is the Qi realm. Everyone on the Qi continent doesn't know what realm is above the Qi realm. Xiao Fan was too lazy to explain, so he just said the Qi realm. What, Brother Xiao Fan? You are already a Qi. When Xiao Xun'er heard Xiao Fan's words, she was shocked and widened her eyes. She almost doubted whether she was dreaming. Brother Xiao Fan, I'm not dreaming, am I? Xiao Fan rubbed Xiao Xun'er's head and said with a smile, of course I'm not dreaming. I have indeed broken through to the Qi realm. Not long ago, the Lord of the Soul Palace, Hun Misheng, provoked me and was killed by me. In order to avoid some troubles in the future, I plan to go directly to the Soul Clan, Gu Xun'er said in surprise and admiration. Brother Xiao Fan is so amazing. There hasn't been a Qi powerhouse in the Qi continent for 10,000 years. You have broken the record of the Qi continent. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. I believe it won't be long before you can break through to the D realm. Xuner said. The D realm? How can it be so easy to break through? Over the past 10,000 years, countless people have been trapped at the peak of the nine-starred Sheng and unable to go any further, like my father. Xiao Fan smiled and said, you are naturally different. Have you forgotten the Fengwei Xui Gong that we practiced before? Xuner blushed when she heard Xiao Fan's words. This kind of skill, she and Xiao Fan practiced together, and her strength did improve. How could she forget it? However, that method seemed a little. Just as Xuner was thinking about it, Xiao Fan took her directly to the inner room. With Xuner's half-hearted push, the two of them accomplished something good. Xuner's cultivation level also improved a lot again, which made Xuner feel pleasantly surprised. What do you think? As long as we practice a few more times, your cultivation level will increase rapidly, right? Xiao Fan looked at Xuner beside him and teased with a smile. Xuner heard the words and said coquettishly, you only know how to think about these things. Next, Xiao Fan practiced the wind, flowers, snow and moon skill with Xuner twice, and then the two dressed up together and spent 3 days of leisure time in the Gu clan. 3 days later, Xuner accompanied Xiao Fan to find Gu Yuan, the patriarch of the Gu clan. Gu Yuan was not surprised to see Xiao Fan coming, and his face looked a little unhappy. Finally, you are willing to come to see me? Although Gu Yuan did not pay attention to Xiao Fan and Xuner's movements all the time, he knew without thinking that Xiao Fan had done nothing good to Xuner in the past 3 days. How could Gu Yuan have a good face when he thought that Xuner had been bullied by Xiao Fan for 3 consecutive days? Xiao Fan said, the Gu clan leader seems a little unhappy. Gu Yuan snorted, I am not unhappy about anything. Tell me, what is the matter with you coming to see me? Xiao Fan smiled and told Gu Yuan the reason for his visit. What, you want to go to the Soul Clan? Aren't you afraid of death? Gu Yuan exclaimed when he heard what Xiao Fan said. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.